Chapter 2893. In the blink of an eye, another 20 years had passed. In the Dark Shadow Palace, 20 years passed in the blink of an eye. But to the heavenly god disciples of the Dark Shadow Palace, these 20 years were like the blink of an eye. No one dared to control them. Under the circumstances where the supremacies and great supremacies didn't care, local tyrants appeared one after another. For the first time, the punishment hall lost its restraints. They weren't afraid of the punishment hall disciples. Arrest people. They would resist immediately. 20 years had also caused internal discord in the enforcement team. They started to drag things out and started to dawdle. The punishment hall, whose name could make people tremble in fear, started to lose its influence. As long as there was a backer, anyone could be arrogant. This was something that they didn't dare to do in the past, but it had now become a reality. As the deputy hall master of the punishment hall, Lin Fei was also smeared with all kinds of dirty water. In the past 20 years, Lin Fei didn't come out at all. Everyone thought that Lin Fei was a sick cat. At the beginning, if Lin Fei stood out, they might be able to suppress it. But after 20 years, everything had changed. Everyone no longer feared the punishment hall. Without fear, who would be afraid of you? In Lin Fei's cave abode, a huge scroll appeared. In the scroll, there were mountains and rivers, vast and boundless, giving off a majestic aura. With a thought from the black-robed Lin Fei, the scroll disappeared without a trace. The majestic aura also disappeared. Finally, I've mastered the powerful killer move of Proud Sky, level 8, perfectly. Lin Fei was very satisfied with this move. Even with the system's guidance, it still took Lin Fei a long time to master this move. He was just a little bit off each time. This move had a name: mountains and rivers. Lin Bai and Zhao Wu had lived a sullen life for 20 years. Ever since that day, they gradually gave up and allowed those people to do whatever they wanted. The Dark Shadow Palace became a mess with violence everywhere. As time passed, the punishment hall seemed to have become a forgotten place. I wonder when Hall Master Lin will come out. Zhao Wu and Lin Bai sat in the small palace and drank. Out of sight, out of mind. This was what they had comprehended over the past 20 years. They didn't need to care about Bai Chong and the others' expressions. I think it should be soon. Zhao Wu drank a glass of wine. Lin Bai nodded with a worried expression. That's right. If you don't come out now, we can all leave. I heard that the Heavenly God Realm Elders and the High Lords are preparing to impeach Hall Master Lin for his inaction. That's right. Those people are doing it on purpose. It's all because of the Elysian Son of Heaven. Zhao Wu gnashed his teeth. And that bastard Bai Chong. Recently, he's bewitched many members of the law enforcement team to join him. He's so disgusting. That's a bastard. Vice Hall Master Bai Chong, as the Vice Hall Master of the Law Enforcement Hall, had remained silent for the past few years. However, the truth was that his influence had grown rapidly. Taking advantage of the past few years, he had wantonly tried to rope in the members of the Law Enforcement Division. Unfortunately, they could not find any reason to stop him. Not bad. You still have the mood to drink here. Suddenly, there was a ripple in space, and the black-robed Lin Fei quietly appeared. Hall Master Lin. The two were delighted and immediately stood up. Lin Fei waved his hand. Sit down. You've suffered while this seat wasn't here. Not at all, not at all. They didn't dare to reply. Seeing Lin Fei appear, they felt as if their backbone had returned. Lin Fei sat down at the table. Zhao Wu immediately poured him a glass of wine. He did not stand on ceremony and drank it in one gulp. This seat heard everything you said just now. Don't worry, I won't blame you. This seat allowed you to do this. Lin Bai and Zhao Wu felt very guilty. When Lin Fei didn't care about the Law Enforcement Division, no one would dare to cause trouble in the Law Enforcement Division. They had done their best to run the Law Enforcement Division well. However, what happened later left them powerless to do so. Those divine realm elders and high lords had taken the opportunity to cause trouble, obviously to help the Elysian Sun. Although it was not obvious on the surface, the Elysian Sun was the mastermind behind the scenes. They wanted to see Lin Fei leave with his tail between his legs. The Elysian Sun had returned, and with a wave of his arm, everything would be settled. Comparing the two, no one would say anything. This was within the rules. Now that this seat has come out, it's time to resolve this matter. Lin Fei put down his wine glass. Have you gathered the information I asked you to? Hearing this, the two immediately became excited. We've gathered it in secret. Lin Bai took out a list of names. They're all in a hurry. They won't miss a single one. 80% of them are related to the Elysian Sun. Lin Fei chuckled. The Elysian Sun is really capable to be able to order so many people. However, after this time, they'll probably hate the Elysian Sun to death. Zhao Wu, inform Bai Chong that there's something to discuss and invite him over. Don't tell him that this seat is here. Lin Fei narrowed his eyes. Bai Chong dares to watch from the sidelines and take the opportunity to poach and instigate others. He can only blame himself for not being able to see the situation clearly. That's great. In the past 20 years, this fellow has been growing stronger. He has repeatedly poached our people and even came out to cause trouble. It's time to deal with him. Zhao Wu said happily. He had waited for this day for a long time. Vice Hall Master Bai Chong had been riding the crest of success recently. In the past 20 years, due to Lin Fei's inaction, Lin Bai and Zhao Wu had withdrawn. Vice Hall Master Bai Chong had taken the opportunity to rope in some captains and captains. He had also poached people from the law enforcement team. In a short period of time, his influence had expanded greatly, and his forces had also grown. Zhao Wu has invited me over to discuss the law enforcement team. Hearing the report from his subordinate, Bai Chong frowned slightly. Could it be that Zhao Wu and Lin Bai have decided to give up on the law enforcement team? The law enforcement team, which was originally under the control of Lin Bai and Zhao Wu, was now riddled with holes. The smart ones knew that they would seek refuge with others, leaving behind only fanatics who supported the law enforcement hall. They're going to lower their heads. That's good too. After incorporating the law enforcement team, my forces will increase significantly. Vice Hall Master Bai Chong revealed a look of understanding. Lin Fei, you're just a young brat. What do you know about management? Ha ha ha. Bai Chong wasn't in a hurry to leave. An hour later, he came out unhurriedly. Vice Hall Master Zhao, I'm really sorry to have kept you waiting while I was cultivating. Vice Hall Master Bai Chong said apologetically. No matter how one listened to it, it sounded very hypocritical. You can go now. Zhao Wu turned around and left. Chapter 2894. From Bai Chong's point of view, Lin Bai and Zhao Wu would have a bright future if they followed Lin Fei. Fortunately, he did not join Lin Fei back then. His personal strength was much weaker than the Son of Heaven. If Lin Fei was the chief hall master, Bai Chong would definitely join him. However, a vice hall master was too weak. Brother Zhao, you guys have had a hard time these years. I think you should change your approach. Bai Chong said as he walked. Why don't you follow me? Zhao Wu sneered in his heart. You will regret it when we get there. He knew in his heart that things would not be so simple now that Lin Fei had come out. If things went wrong, Vice Hall Master Bai Chong would be in big trouble. Zhao Wu did not know why he was so confident. I don't think this is a good approach. Zhao Wu said coldly and continued walking forward. Bai Chong did want to rope them in, so he did not want to give up this opportunity. What did you get from following Lin Fei? I think you didn't get anything. Vice Pavilion Master Bai Chong said, You should know the situation in the disciplinary hall better than anyone else. Now that there are elders of heaven gods and high exalted lords expressing their dissatisfaction, I think you'll be in deep trouble once they report this matter to the higher-ups. Lin Fei will be the first to bear the brunt of it. Zhao Wu did not say anything. I am not someone like you, who only knows how to gloat at others' misfortune. You. Bai Chong said angrily. For the rest of the journey, Zhao Wu ignored them no matter what they said. Bai Chong had no choice but to give up. He believed that Zhao Wu and Lin Bai would definitely regret it after a period of time. At that time, he would take his time. We are here. Zhao Wu pushed the door open and entered. Vice Hall Master Bai Chong followed behind. Brother Lin, I told you that following that Lin Fei will not end well. As soon as he entered, Vice Hall Master Bai Chong put on airs and spoke in a condescending tone. Zhao Wu stood at the door and did not leave. The man in black, who was drinking at the table, looked over. Vice Hall Master Bai, it's been 20 years. You seem to be living a good life. When the black-clothed man turned around, Vice Hall Master Bai Chong's complexion changed. You, why are you here? Weren't you in seclusion? Ever since he was struck by the thunderclap leap, he was filled with fear towards Lin Fei. He had been fooled. This was a trap. It's all because you guys are making too much noise, so I came out. Lin Fei narrowed his eyes at Bai Chong. I've heard that you've been making a lot of noise. I'd like to ask you, what are you trying to do? The last sentence was like a clap of thunder, shaking Bai Chong to the point that he was on the verge of collapsing. Vice Pavilion Master Lin, I think this is a misunderstanding. I still have some matters to attend to, so I'll be leaving first. Bai Chong was scared to see Lin Fei, especially in this situation. If he didn't leave now, when would he? Zhao Wu stood in front of him. Pavilion Master Lin hasn't said anything yet, so you can't leave. Vice Hall Master, Bai Chong shrieked. I'm a Vice Hall Master, and I can leave whenever I want. Who dares to stop me? Get out of my way. Don't force me to make a move. Zhao Wu didn't back down, blocking Bai Chong like a mountain. Vice Hall Master Lin, what do you mean by this? Lin Fei leisurely poured himself a cup of wine. Nothing much. I just feel that the punishment hall needs to be reorganized. As a Vice Hall Master, you failed miserably. Therefore, I've decided to start with you. You're all old, and you're no longer as hot-blooded as before. The punishment hall doesn't need people like you. Vice Hall Master Bai Chong's complexion changed several times. You dare? Without the Chief Hall Master's approval and the approval of the higher-ups, no one can remove me from my position. You talk too much nonsense. Lin Fei stretched out his hand, and his arm expanded. Vice Hall Master Bai Chong was already prepared. 20 years ago, he was defeated in a single move. When he saw Lin Fei, he was already prepared. The moment Lin Fei moved, a deity battle armor appeared on his body. But in the next second, Lin Fei's hand grabbed Bai Chong's neck as if there was nothing there. He pulled Bai Chong to the table and pressed him down. It's been 20 years, and your strength still hasn't improved. How disappointing. Lin Fei pressed Vice Hall Master Bai Chong down. Bastard, let go of me. Bai Chong was prepared, but he didn't expect Lin Fei to casually grab him, and he became a dead dog. His strength was sealed. Pum! Lin Fei casually swung Bai Chong, and he was smashed into the pillar of the palace like a gunny sack. Take him away and lock him up in the dungeon. Lin Fei didn't even look at Bai Chong. Bring the remaining members of the enforcement team in. Don't take those who are wavering. What the punishment hall needs is a group of fanatics. I'll bring them in immediately. Zhao Wu pulled Bai Chong away. After sealing his strength, Bai Chong was dragged out like a dead dog. Hall Master Lin, isn't this a little too sudden? Lin Bai asked. It's nothing sudden. The current situation of the punishment hall is a little worse than I thought. Today we'll wipe them all out. All right. Go and activate the formation and lock down the punishment hall. This time we'll wipe them all out. Lin Bai hurriedly left. Lin Fei continued to drink, slowly savoring the wine. Elysian Sun, I have to thank you for helping me so much. This is a good time to settle this once and for all. The punishment hall does need a group of hot-blooded people, and not one that is stuck in a rut and slowly regressing. Zhao Wu came in with 58 people. These 58 people were all people that Zhao Wu and Lin Bai had been secretly observing. They were fanatics. They were shocked to see Lin Fei sitting there. In their eyes, Lin Fei was their idol. His decisiveness in killing was something they had always admired. Do you know why all of you are here? Furthermore, there are only 58 of you. They shook their heads, but there was an inexplicable trace of excitement in their hearts. Lin Fei stood up and swept his sharp gaze across them. Because all of you are hot-blooded people that the punishment hall needs the most. You've all seen it. In the past 20 years, the punishment hall has lost its former majesty. I know that a long time ago, the punishment hall was like a mountain, a sword above everyone's head. But now, what is the punishment hall? It's nothing. However, with all of you here, the future punishment hall will truly be the punishment hall. Now, I need all of you to carry out a major reorganization. Anyone who is wrong will be wiped out. I'm asking all of you, do you dare? We dare. We are willing. 58 people spoke in unison. Their spirits were united and full of vigor. They hadn't been greatly affected by the 20 years. A fanatical aura appeared on all of them. Lin Fei was very satisfied. Chapter 2895. After 20 years, the remaining members were the elites of the enforcers. They wouldn't be swayed by external affairs. Lin Fei was rather satisfied with them. This was what he needed, and what the disciplinary hall needed as well. After a few words, their conviction was ignited. Once they were brought out, they would become warmongers. What Lin Fei saw in their eyes was fanaticism. Let's go. The first problem he had to deal with was the internal affairs of the disciplinary hall. After 20 years of preparation, Lin Fei wanted to solve all the problems in one go. No matter who it was, they would be purged. Lin Fei didn't want any more trouble. Charge in and take them down. Take them all down. The formation of the disciplinary hall was activated, sealing off the entire area. Lin Fei's actions were too fast. 58 enforcers were extremely powerful. They charged in as soon as they arrived. What are you trying to do? We're the Elysian children's men. Release us. Bastards, what are you doing? The people of the disciplinary hall were caught off guard. They couldn't resist in time and were all taken down. Even if some of them tried to resist, with Lin Bai and Zhao around, they would beat them up. They couldn't do anything. Lock them all up in the dungeon and wait for their trial. Lin Fei watched on. Every time he captured someone, he would send them to the dungeon and lock them up. At this time, the small leaders finally realized that something big was about to happen. Lin Fei, who had been in seclusion all this while, had actually appeared. It was too late for them to report the news. It took him 4 hours to get there. Lin Fei led his men and cleaned up the disciplinary hall. A large number of disciples were locked up in the dungeon. There was some resistance, but it was quickly quelled. This time, Lin Fei unleashed a thunderous strike. Lin Fei did not plan to use the disciples of the punishment hall locked up in the dungeon. He would send them to the battlefield to atone for their crimes. He believed that after messing things up on the battlefield, they would understand their mistakes. Even though the disciplinary hall's strength would be greatly reduced, Lin Fei wasn't worried at all. Now that the person was gone, he could continue to recruit. At that time, with the addition of fresh blood, the disciplinary hall would be refreshed and filled with vigor. It would no longer be as lethargic as before. Lin Fei didn't like it. He really didn't like it. The members and disciples of the disciplinary hall who were lucky enough to be unharmed all shuddered in fear. This method was too cruel. Almost all of the punishment hall's disciples had been wiped out. All of you, stay here obediently. If anyone has any ideas, I won't let them off easily. There was no need for Lin Fei to say anything. Everyone knew that the world was about to change. Lin Fei, who they had looked down on, had launched a thunderous strike and wiped out the internal members. They suddenly realized that no matter what they did, Lin Fei was still a supreme-level powerhouse. He was at the peak of the second stage and the disciplinary hall's vice hall master. Are you sure you want to shed all pretense of cordiality with them? Chief Hall Master Shenyang asked with a smile. Aren't you going to think it over? Lin Fei sat in front of Chief Hall Master Shenyang. There's no need. I've decided. Since we're going to clean them up, we'll do it ruthlessly. They'll remember this and learn from their mistakes. Chief Hall Master Shenyang sighed. All right, go ahead. I'll support you. Back then, everyone in the disciplinary hall would turn pale at the mention of its name. The current disciplinary hall is too far behind. It's time for us to stand up again. Then I'll get to work. Chief Hall Master Shenyang personally watched as Lin Fei left. The higher-ups have chosen the right person. They should have someone like Lin Fei who isn't afraid of hardships and has such a fiery temperament. The reformed disciplinary hall is really something to look forward to. The matter of the disciplinary hall's internal cleansing had been kept under wraps. The remaining people had all their communication devices confiscated. None of the internal information could be sent out. 20 years was enough for many people to pay attention to the disciplinary hall. In those people's eyes, the disciplinary hall was a piece of cake. Who would be afraid? Not a single person knew about this change. Lin Fei's movements were also fast, catching everyone off guard. When the sun rose the next day, a storm had begun. Chief Lin, the first person on this list, is a disciple of Supreme Lord Eternal Wind. They've been wreaking havoc in the Dark Shadow Palace and injured many of our disciplinary hall's disciples, Lin Bai said as he pointed to the first name on the list. Supreme Lord Eternal Wind. Haha. Lin Fei glanced at the list. Then let's start from here. We'll arrest them one by one. I'll personally accompany you. Lin Bai and Zhao were unusually excited. Their blood was boiling. Who are those people? They look like the enforcement team. What happened? Why did they mobilize the enforcement team? No, it seems like Lin Bai and Deputy Hall Master Zhao Wu are out. Isn't that Deputy Hall Master Lin Fei? Why is he out? Something's going to happen. The group of people who came out quickly attracted everyone's attention. Ever since the disciplinary hall became a place where anyone could step on, the heavenly god disciples with powerful backgrounds and backing no longer feared the disciples of the disciplinary hall. They even chose to ignore the enforcement team. Many people were surprised to see the enforcement team mobilized today. It had been a long time since they saw the enforcement team mobilized. But when they saw Lin Fei and the other 2 deputy hall masters appear, everyone's expressions darkened. It was as if something bad was about to happen. Hee, isn't this Lord Lin Fei? Long time no see. Are you going out to hunt? An ordinary heavenly god elder passed by. When he saw Lin Fei, he spoke in a strange tone. In the past 20 years, Lin Fei, the deputy hall master of the disciplinary hall, had done nothing. In the eyes of the heavenly god elders, this was a sign of cowardice. This heavenly god elder was not worried that Lin Fei would dare to do anything. So what if it was the disciplinary hall? Take him down! 58 deacons took out the treasures of the disciplinary hall and surrounded him. These 58 enforcement team disciples had long been suppressing a bellyful of anger. They attacked fiercely the moment they appeared, and every move was fatal. The heavenly god elder blocked left and right, but soon he was like an arrow at the end of its flight. With a loud bang, he was sent flying. Everyone was dumbfounded by this scene. That was a heavenly god elder. Even if he was not one of the 10 great heavenly god elders, he was still one of the elders. Yet he was taken down just like that. Drag him away. Lin Fei did not stop and continued forward. That heavenly god elder was unlucky. He was covered in wounds, and then he was chained by the enforcement team. His strength was sealed, and he was dragged like a dead dog. It was really embarrassing. Something big is going to happen. Lord Lin Fei is going to make a big move. Quick, contact the people of the disciplinary hall and ask them what happened. Soon, the messages sent by everyone sank into the sea. Not good. The disciplinary hall's array formation has been activated. We can't get in. News can't get in either. Something big is really going to happen this time. That Lord Lin Fei really dares to arrest people. Chapter 2896. Eternal Wind Supreme Lord was quite influential in the Dark Shadow Palace. He was good at networking. Over time, he had accumulated many connections in the Dark Shadow Palace. As long as they had potential, Eternal Wind Supreme Lord would befriend them. In his opinion, the more supremacies he befriended, the more benefits he would receive in the future. For example, Eternal Wind Supreme Lord tried to befriend the Elysian Sun. After paying a huge price, they finally became friends. Although Eternal Wind Supreme Lord did not have absolute power in the Dark Shadow Palace, no one dared to look down on him. When he heard that he was going to cause trouble for Lin Fei, he got his disciples to participate. Over the years, their relationship got closer. It was as if he had become a lackey. The Dark Shadow Throne is about to begin. The Elysian Sun should have a high chance of entering. Boom! There was a loud sound. Eternal Wind Supreme Lord's cave abode shook violently. Who's causing trouble? Eternal Wind Supreme Lord came out of the cave abode angrily. Did you see that? In the future, if you want to catch someone, don't waste your breath. Just fight them. If they're not convinced, beat them half to death before capturing them. Lin Fei lectured the disciplinary team in front of Eternal Wind Supreme Lord's cave abode. We understand. Lin Bai, Zhao Wu, and the disciplinary team members all looked at him with admiration. This was the prestige of the disciplinary hall. When they had first arrived, they had been stopped by the guards outside, and they had been shamelessly boasting. In the end, Lin Fei had fought his way in, causing them to be thrown into a complete mess. Who's causing trouble? Supreme Lord Everwind rushed out in a threatening manner. He saw a familiar stranger. Wasn't that Lin Fei? Why was he here? No, that wasn't right. Wasn't that Lin Bai and Zhao Wu? This was the disciplinary team. I'm causing trouble. What can you do? Lin Fei shouted. The Eternal Wind Supreme Lord felt embarrassed. He had never liked Lin Fei. When he heard that the Elysian Sun was going to undermine him, he immediately agreed to help. A rising star was trying to climb over his head. What was going on? This is my immortal cave. You brought people here and even injured my guards. If you don't give me a reason today, this matter will not end. Eternal Wind Supremacy said angrily. Lin Bai didn't need to be told. He stood up and said, Taoist Eternal Wind, we came here today to arrest a few divine realm disciples who violated the rules of the Dark Shadow Palace. I hope you can let them come out and accept punishment from the disciplinary hall. The disciples of the heavenly gods who had followed them all the way here. At this moment, they all looked as if they were blind. They are here to arrest someone. Crazy, he's really crazy. Who would come knocking on the door to capture him? Could it be that he's forgotten that this is the abode of a High Lord? Supreme Lord Eternal Wind will never agree to it. The news that Lin Fei led his men and headed straight for Wing Wind Supreme Lord's cave residence spread like wildfire. Nothing big had happened to the Dark Shadow Palace. But once something big had happened, the news would spread immediately. For example, those Empyrean God Elders, all of them knew the situation. How could Lin Fei do this? That's a heavenly deity elder. He actually sealed his strength and is holding him back. Come knocking on the door to capture him? Does Lin Fei really think that he's the Hall Master? Everyone started to pay attention. Eternal Wind Supremacy didn't expect that Lin Fei would come to capture him. Lin Fei looked as if he had the upper hand. This made him very uncomfortable. He was a supremacy powerhouse. If Lin Fei wanted to capture someone, He would have to ask him first. Vice Hall Master Lin, I'm quite curious. What did my disciple violate that made you mobilize so many people? Can you tell me? Supreme Lord Eternal Wind said while suppressing his anger. The evidence is with me. Zhao Wu took out a document. You can take a look yourself. If there's anything wrong with the disciplinary hall, I'm willing to leave the disciplinary hall and no longer be a vice hall master. Supreme Lord Eternal Wind could feel Zhao Wu's determination. He was certain of one thing. No matter what, he wouldn't hand over his disciple. He didn't believe that Lin Fei would. If Lin Fei really dared to act recklessly, this was the Dark Shadow Palace. Supreme Lord Eternal Wind pretended to take the document and casually glanced at it. Nonsense. It's impossible for my disciple to do such a thing. Zhao Wu said in a low voice, Taoist Eternal Wind, if you think that the evidence here isn't enough, we still have a recording stone that recorded everything that happened at the scene. Do you think that's enough? Supreme Lord Eternal Wind's heart sank. They came prepared. This was going to be troublesome. In any case, it's impossible for my disciple to do such a thing. Supreme Lord Eternal Wind said sternly and started to quibble. I advise you to leave my cave abode. If you want to capture someone, you can't just capture anyone. Lin Bai, Zhao Wu, take him down. Lin Fei didn't have time to waste. Regardless of whether Supreme Lord Eternal Wind handed over the evidence or not, Lin Fei would make him hand it over obediently. Lin Bai and Zhao Wu took out their weapons and surrounded them. The disciplinary team waited at the side. They couldn't interfere in such matters, but their eyes were filled with excitement. They attacked. They really attacked. This was the majestic disciplinary hall that they yearned for. Supreme Lord Eternal Wind's strength wasn't bad. He single-handedly blocked the joint attack of two people. Although it was a little strenuous, he still managed to block it. Vice Hall Leader Lin, I'll definitely report this matter to the higher-ups. Just you wait. Supreme Lord Eternal Wind hated Lin Fei to the core. He was a hall master after all. How dare he let people surround him at this time? Lin Bai and Zhao Wu's attacks were very fierce. At the same time, they planned to perform well. If they didn't do so now, when would they? Both of them were well aware of this fact. A battle between two supremacies wouldn't end so quickly. Outside the cave abode, a huge energy wave swept across. Only Lin Fei stood still. With a wave of his hand, an invisible barrier formed and blocked the attack. The disciplinary team behind him wasn't affected at all. Lin Fei was very satisfied with their performance. They weren't afraid of the aura of a supremacy. Their eyes were filled with excitement and worship. You guys can leave. Lin Bai and Zhao Wu's strength was about the same. However, it was still difficult to win against Supreme Lord Eternal Wind in a short period of time. If they wanted to determine a winner, they would need some time. Let me ask you again. Are you going to hand over the person or not? Lin Fei's gaze was ice cold, and a chilling intent shot out from his eyes. Supreme Lord Eternal Wind was still afraid of Lin Fei. After all, he was a supremacy of the body tempering school and had mastered a secret killing technique like the thunderclap leap. My disciple didn't do anything wrong. You are deliberately framing him. Supreme Lord Eternal Wind thought quickly. He wouldn't admit it even if he was beaten to death. Fine, let me fulfill your wish. I will protect my disciple and let him stay in the dungeon for a period of time. Lin Fei took a step forward, and a purple arc of light flashed by. Compared to the previous time, the might of the thunderclap leap that Lin Fei used this time was much greater, and his speed was much faster as well. Everyone only saw a flash of purple before Lin Fei appeared behind the Eternal Wind Supreme Lord. He grabbed the Eternal Wind Supreme Lord's neck with one hand as though he was grabbing a dead dog. With your strength? You aren't qualified to speak to me. With a fling of his body, he was thrown in front of the disciplinary team. Chapter 2897. He really lost. Everwind's Supreme Lord has been famous for a long time. It seems like Lin Fei Supreme Lord's thunderclap is getting more and more powerful. I only saw a flash of purple, and Everwind's Supreme Lord was defeated. Everyone was paying attention to this matter. Lin Fei was too fast and defeated Everwind's Supreme Lord with a single move. He did it so casually, which was beyond everyone's expectations. In just 20 years, his strength seemed to have improved significantly. The rest was simple. Without Everwind's Supreme Lord stopping them, the law enforcement team rushed in like ferocious tigers and started arresting people according to the name list. There's one here, catch him. That one too, catch him. Him too, catch him. The members of the law enforcement team rushed in and caught everyone on the name list. Those who resisted were all beaten to the ground. In just a short while, all the Heavenly God disciples on the name list had been caught. Let's go to the next place. Lin Fei turned and left. You can't do this. I'm a Supreme Lord. Let go of me. Everwind's Supreme Lord had restricted his strength and barely retained a bit of it. However, it was impossible for him to break free from the ropes. Lin Fei slapped the Eternal Wind Supremacy's body. Cracks appeared on the Eternal Wind Supremacy's body. It was a ghastly sight. If you dare to shout again, I'll smash you into pieces with my next palm. Lin Fei's sharp gaze swept over. Everwind's Supreme Lord endured the intense pain and glared at Lin Fei with hatred. Swoosh! Another palm strike landed on High Lord Eternal Wind's body, causing his body to explode. I don't like this kind of look. Everwind's Supreme Lord, who had recovered, wanted to cry but had no tears. Just now, he had used up his life force in the Dark Shadow Palace. It was too tragic. Now he was well behaved. That immense power struck him. Without the protection of the Emperor's will, he really couldn't take it. He had used up his life force and needed a large number of life force treasures to recover. Lin Bai and Zhao were extremely excited. A Supreme Lord was well behaved just like that. To be able to destroy the physical body of the Reverend Master with just 2 palm strikes. What sort of strength was that? Even if they were in his shoes, they might not be able to do something like that. The members of the law enforcement team worshipped Lin Fei even more. They didn't even dare to imagine that a dignified supremacy would explode his physical body in front of them. In the future, we, the disciplinary hall, can only beat people up. No one will dare to beat you up, not even the supremacies. If you're not satisfied, just beat them up until they're satisfied. You don't have to be afraid, because you represent the Dark Shadow Palace and the disciplinary hall. Lin Fei instilled the concept of violence into them. Well said, Hall Master. If you're not satisfied, then fight. That's right. Beat them until they're convinced. The law enforcers roared with fanaticism. Supreme Lord Everwind suddenly felt that the gazes of the members of the law enforcement team had become unfriendly. Damn it, they're not hitting me, are they? Eternal Wind Supreme Lord held back his resentful gaze. He couldn't bear the might of Lin Fei's palm. It was too terrifying. If he could, he really didn't want to experience it again. Lin Fei led the law enforcers to the cave abode of the Second Supremacy. For the same reason, beat them up. You can't go up. What are you doing? What awaited the guards was the attack of the law enforcers. Standing at the back, Lin Fei became more and more satisfied. Yes, that's it. Anyone who dares to obstruct the law enforcers should be beaten up. If you can't remember it once, then do it twice. Lin Fei shouted from behind. There were no surprises. The Second Supremacy also didn't want to hand over the person because of his status. Lin Fei made his move. He defeated the other party with a single move. He charged in to capture the person. That unlucky Supreme Lord also accompanied the Eternal Wind Supreme Lord. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, they rushed to the next abode. Lin Fei charged into 2 cave abodes to capture people. The Dark Shadow Palace was in an uproar. That was too crazy. Oh no, Supreme Lord Samu has also been captured. The disciple of the 10th elder has also been captured. The 8th elder has been defeated with a single move and vomited blood. His personal disciple has been captured on the spot. The disciple of the 5th elder has also been captured. The news spread like wildfire. Lin Fei led the law enforcers to capture people on the list like hungry wolves. They charged into the cave abodes of 6 supremacies and captured them by force. The most terrifying thing was their supremacies had also been captured and paraded through the streets of the Dark Shadow Palace. That was what they resented the most. This was completely degrading the face of a High Lord to the point that it was worthless. From now on, anyone who saw them would definitely remember that they had been dragged around by Deputy Hall Master Lin Fei. They would lose all their dignity and dignity. That was the most unacceptable thing to them. We'll hand them over immediately. When Lin Fei led his men to another cave abode, the supremacy of that cave abode came out personally to welcome them. Without saying a word, he immediately escorted his disciple out. He had no intention of obstructing them at all and was very respectful. The Dark Shadow Palace should have more people like you who know how to be polite, Lin Fei said before leaving with the law enforcers. That supremacy was so scared that he broke out in cold sweat. Passed down the order. From now on, no one is allowed to touch the disciplinary hall. Whoever dares to cause trouble will have to scram. The supremacy was scared out of his wits. The faces of the 6 supremacies were pale. When they looked over, they looked at him with pleading eyes. He did not dare to look at them for fear that he would be implicated. Lin Fei was too much of a jerk. Lin Fei ordered the law enforcers to drag the heavenly god disciples they had captured and beat them up one by one. Stop beating them up. We'll hand them over. We're ready. Deputy Hall Master Lin, you can take them away. I hope that Deputy Hall Master Lin will discipline these disciples well. They can be beaten up no matter what, but instead of cultivating, they only know how to do wrong things. With the previous example, everyone realized that as long as the disciples were handed over, then everything would be fine. Even though they were extremely unwilling, after a moment of consideration, they decided to give in. Lin Fei had knocked out 6 supremacies in one go, completely disregarding their identity. They didn't have the guts to keep them company, not even if they had 100 guts. Along the way, Lin Fei had captured 300 to 400 disciples. Among them, there were more than 100 6th Order and 7th Order Heavenly God Realm disciples. Every one of them had a strong background, but they were all captured in the end. Batch by batch, they were sent back and locked up in the dungeon. The 6 supremacies weren't so lucky. They had been following behind Huang Xiaolong the whole time. Their faces were extremely ugly, but they dared not show any resentment in their eyes. It wasn't easy to suffer a palm strike that could shatter one's body. Deputy Hall Master Lin is mighty. Those people should have been captured. It's all their fault that the Dark Shadow Palace is in such a foul atmosphere. Now it's finally over. Those Heavenly God Realm disciples who had been bullied from time to time were grinning from ear to ear. This was a good thing, They didn't even dare to imagine that those arrogant fellows would be taken away like dead dogs. I wonder if the punishment hall is still accepting people. I want to join them. So impressive. This is the punishment hall. Chapter 2898. Lin Fei personally led the way, pushing forward. No matter who it was, if they did not hand over the disciple who had committed the crime, unless they could withstand Lin Fei's fist, they would have to obediently hand him over, no matter how ugly their expressions were. Until now, more than half of the shadow attack had spread. This was the first time that Lin Fei had made a name for himself in the eyes of everyone. Look at those high lords. They were originally high and mighty, but now they were all like dead dogs. They had lost all their face. Just when everyone thought that Lin Fei was going to continue sweeping away, they retreated. Lin Fei brought his men back and left a message. Within 3 days, hand over all the disciples who had committed the crime. Otherwise, He will come again 3 days later. Hall, Master Lin, why didn't you continue? Inside the punishment hall, Lin Bai and Zhao Wu asked in confusion. Under normal circumstances, they should take advantage of the opportunity to push forward and not give up halfway. They had to teach them a lesson. There's no need. Lin Fei shook his head. Now they are all frightened. If you really go down, some of them will probably be unhappy. Do you really want to become public enemies? The two of them were too excited. Hearing Lin Fei's words, the two of them suddenly came to a realization and broke out in a cold sweat. Within 3 days, they will definitely send people over because they can't afford to lose face. We have established our prestige, and the punishment hall has been reorganized. Everything is just right. Hall Master Lin, what about those high lords? When will you let them go? Let's lock them up for a month first. Lin Fei said indifferently. The punishment hall is not a place where you can come and go as you please. Just as Lin Fei said, within 3 days, whether it was the divine realm elder or the high lords, they gritted their teeth and sent the people over. No one was willing to see Lin Fei visit them. 3 days later, they did not see those high lords. They were now locked up in the punishment hall's exclusive dungeon. They even released the news that the high lords had committed the crime of covering up and would be locked up in the dungeon for a month. This kind of punishment was completely beyond everyone's imagination. Those were all supremacies. Lin Fei was playing with fire. The Dark Shadow Palace had existed for a long time, but no one had ever heard of a high lord being locked up in the dungeon. This was a humiliation, a stain that could not be erased. The punishment hall couldn't care less. Quite a few high lords joined hands to protest, but in the end, all of their protests sank to the bottom of the sea. Guards began to patrol the perimeter of the punishment hall, forbidding outsiders from entering. There were a few heavenly deity powerhouses who went to the disciplinary hall as if they were entering their own home. They foolishly went to give it a try, but they were immediately surrounded and attacked by a group of law enforcers. They were beaten half to death and escorted to the dungeon. The world had changed. Everyone had the same thought. Therefore, in these 3 days, waves of people were sent over. Those disciples who were sent over were not as high-spirited as they used to be. Instead, they were all dejected. They were all reminded when they arrived. The disciplinary hall is different now. If you dare to go in, you won't have a good time. Even they can't interfere. Until now, they were not too clear about the internal situation of the disciplinary hall. The originally empty dungeon had also become overcrowded. As for how to deal with them, Lin Fei didn't need to worry about it. Lin Bai and Zhao were doing their jobs now. They didn't need to be ordered to be investigated and judged according to the punishment. This was the authority of the punishment hall. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. Lin Bai and Zhao Wu looked a little tired, but they were in high spirits. Hall Master Lin, these are the ones who haven't come yet after we registered and investigated them. Lin Bai handed over a set of information. Whose people are they? Lin Bai said in a low voice, Elysian Sun's people. In these 3 days, they finally felt the true authority of being deputy hall masters. Those pampered, heavenly deity disciples, regardless of whether they were personal disciples or inner sect disciples, were all well-behaved now. Not well-behaved? Fight them first. It seemed that with Lin Fei's indoctrination, the members of the law enforcers all became like wolves and tigers. When they attacked, they were extremely ferocious. They were like 2 different people. Do you really think that I can't take them down? Lin Fei leaned back and said lazily, Hall Master Lin, Zenith Supremacy is here. Zhao Wu hurriedly ran in. There are a few other supremacies with him. Although Zhao Wu was also a supremacy, the gap between him and Zenith Supremacy was huge. Zenith Supremacy was a veteran of the Dark Shadow Palace. His words had much more influence than Zhao Wu's. The old people are all here. Lin Fei narrowed his eyes. I thought they would all be able to sit still. Lin Bai and Zhao Wu didn't dare to speak ill of these old supremacies. They admired Lin Fei even more. As deputy hall masters, they had never seen these old people come personally. Let's go and welcome them. After all, they're old people. Zenith Supremacy stood quietly in a scarlet cloak. Behind him were a few supremacies, some of whom Lin Fei had met before. At the moment, they didn't seem to be in a good mood. Brother Zenith, that Lin Fei isn't giving us any face. Even if he's a body-tempering cultivator, he shouldn't be putting on airs here. He actually didn't let us in. In the entire Dark Shadow Palace, there aren't many places that we can't enter. Lin Fei isn't a good person. He really thinks that the punishment hall is his territory. The last thing he should do is to imprison a supremacy and lock him up for a month. What right does he have to do that? A few supremacies looked dissatisfied. In the circle of supremacies, everyone had the same goal. Lin Fei's actions this time had completely disrespected their circle. Since it had happened once, it would inevitably happen again. This had to be stopped. If this continued, they really didn't know what crazy things Lin Fei would do. Imprison a supremacy? That was a little too crazy. We're all people with dignity. Aren't you not giving me face by speaking ill of others behind their backs? Just as they finished speaking, a cold voice came from the punishment hall. Lin Fei had come out with his men. Zenith Supremacy was very calm. Daoist Lin, long time no see. I haven't congratulated you on becoming a supremacy. Zenith Supremacy took the initiative to congratulate him, as if he hadn't heard what Lin Bai had just said. Thanks. Lin Fei smiled. Daoist Zenith, please come in. Zenith Supremacy nodded slightly and walked in. The people behind him prepared to follow. At that moment, Lin Bai and Zhao Wu blocked their way. Sorry, everyone. This is the punishment hall, an important place in the Dark Shadow Palace. You don't have to go in. Just wait outside. Why? Chapter 2899. Not letting them in was naturally Lin Fei's order. In the past 20 years, Lin Fei had become the deputy hall master of the punishment hall. Under normal circumstances, the supremacies of the same circle would definitely give him face. But in reality, that was not the case. These supremacies were happy to see this happen. There were even some supremacies who hinted their disciples to join in the fun. These incidents were all recorded. As for why they were excluding him, Lin Fei knew very well that it was because he was too talented and could even create a killer move like Thunderclap Leap. He was already so talented at such a young age. In the future, he would definitely be able to suppress them. In addition, Lin Fei did not have a big family behind him. He was almost no different from a poor family, which made it even more difficult for them to accept him. They could not wait to see Lin Fei in trouble. Do you hear what I said now? Lin Fei stopped and turned around with a cold gaze. Everyone knew how powerful Lin Fei was, but to think that he would not let them in right now. Wasn't he putting on airs way too much? He was completely looking down on them. I really plan to enter the punishment hall. Yes, let us in today. They were unwilling to be blocked outside. Lin Fei snorted coldly. If you want to go in, let's see if you can withstand one move from me first. Boom! A boundless aura erupted. A sky splitter hammer appeared in Lin Fei's hand. He casually swung it outwards, setting off a terrifying wave that smashed down. Swish! 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 The wave rolled over. The few supremacies present reacted quickly, but Lin Fei's attack was even more domineering and fast. It directly crushed them. No matter how they resisted, it was as if they had fallen into a storm. They swayed left and right for a long time. When Zenith Supremacy saw the purple hammer, a strange look flashed in his eyes. He was shocked. Great Venerable Hantian actually rewarded this treasure to Lin Fei. This is like giving wings to a tiger. After the storm, the faces of the supremacies outside paled slightly, and their bodies trembled slightly. If you still want to go in, it won't be so easy next time. Lin Fei kept the sky splitter hammer and said slowly. At this moment, the hearts of the supremacies were in turmoil. The few of them could not even block a single attack from Lin Fei. Since when had Lin Fei become so strong? Feeling extremely aggrieved, they could only look at Zenith's supremacy, hoping that he would speak up for them. You should thank fellow Taoist Lin for showing mercy. As an old man, Zenith's supremacy naturally would not offend Lin Fei for them, especially after seeing the sky splitter hammer. Listen to him and wait outside. Wait? The few supremacies were dumbfounded. You are an old member of the Dark Shadow Palace. Why are you speaking up for him? This is different from what they had imagined. Fellow Taoist Tianqiong, if you have something to say, just say it. I don't like to beat around the bush, so I might as well get straight to the point. Lin Fei asked someone to bring tea. Instead of answering, Zenith's supremacy asked another question. The hammer you used just now should be the sky splitter hammer, right? Good eyesight. This was given to me by Master. I think its power is all right, so I'll make do with it, Lin Fei said with a smile. Fellow Taoist Lin, you've really surpassed your master. This sky splitter hammer is a good item. Back then, I couldn't unleash its corresponding power. Today, I've finally seen it. In your hands, this treasure should be able to unleash its true power. Zenith Supremacy exclaimed. Lin Fei was not surprised that Zenith Supremacy recognized it. This treasure itself was quite famous. No matter how much time had passed, someone would eventually recognize it. Zenith Supremacy did not get straight to the point and kept asking questions, leaving Lin Fei speechless. What exactly is he trying to do? Fortunately, he was not in a hurry and chatted about all sorts of things, until they were about to end. Zenith Supremacy said, Fellow Taoist Lin, in the beginning, I felt that the position of Deputy Hall Master of the Punishment Hall was not suitable for you. However, now I feel that you're very suitable for this position. The Punishment Hall will become better and better in your hands. It's not impossible for it to return to its former glory. However, I feel that this process needs to be done slowly, lest you act too hastily and take too big a step. That's not good. Actually, there was one last thing he did not say. If you were too anxious, you could easily become a public enemy. I understand. Lin Fei nodded. That's why I gave them 3 days to deal with this matter. I gave them the chance, but they didn't comply. I can't do anything about it. Since I'm a Deputy Hall Master, I have to make some contributions to the Punishment Hall. Zenith Supremacy sighed softly. He could tell that Lin Fei was going to continue to the end. Forget it, forget it. Zenith Supremacy shook his head. You have to be careful if you want to deal with the Elysian Sun. Many of the upper echelons of the Dark Shadow Palace favor the Elysian Sun. He's the most suitable person to inherit the Dark Shadow Palace. Dugu Yijian pursues strength and has no interest in that position. The Elysian Sun is different. Lin Fei smiled. Even if the Elysian Sun wants to take that position, he still has to ask for my permission first. I understand fellow Taoist Tianqiong's intentions. Those supremacies locked up in the dungeon will be released after another 7 days. Thank you for giving me face. Zenith Supremacy left. The few supremacies' faces were filled with hatred. This was the first time they had been stopped outside, and their impression of Lin Fei became especially bad. 7 days, that's too long. Brother Supremacy, he's not giving you any face. Zenith Supremacy's face darkened. Enough. This time he had no choice but to come out. He could punish the Judgment Sky God's disciple, but he could not punish the supremacies. Where would they put their faces? They were not satisfied when they heard that they would be released after 7 days. I won't object if you want to cause trouble for Lin Fei. I just want to tell you one thing. He has a treasure in his hands. It's an incredible treasure from the Dark Shadow Palace called the Sky Splitter Hammer. It's infused with Origin Power Divine Sand. Although it's very little, it's extremely powerful. If you weren't supremacies, you would have been injured by that strike. Sky splitter hammer? They finally recalled. It can't be. Could it be that treasure? He can actually pick it up and use it. Wasn't it said that the sky splitter hammer can't be used by ordinary people? It was only given to great venerable Shaker later on. How is it that in Lin Fei's hands he is still able to display such might? Their faces turned even uglier. With the sky splitter hammer, it was like adding wings to a tiger. No wonder they couldn't withstand that strike. This was not good. If it happened again, they believed that Lin Fei would definitely deal a heavy blow. At that time, they would definitely be injured and they would lose all face. 7 days, then so be it. Chapter 2900. The news of Zenith's supremacy paying a visit to Lin Fei quickly spread. Ever since Lin Fei displayed his prowess, the punishment hall had become a true forbidden area. In the past, people could enter and leave freely, but now that was no longer the case. Anyone who loitered outside would be caught and locked up in the dungeon. No matter how courageous those people were, they did not dare to enter the punishment hall's designated area and could only watch from afar. Supremacy Lin Fei is too overbearing. He actually didn't let other supremacies enter and did not hesitate to fight. What right does he have to stop supremacies from entering? After the news spread, many people were unhappy. Zenith's supremacy was an old man and had a great influence in the Dark Shadow Palace. This newly promoted supremacy, Lin Fei, was a little arrogant. In the upper circles, Lin Fei had a very bad impression of him. He was a guy who did not play by the rules and was capable of doing anything. In the lower circles, Lin Fei had won the worship of countless people, just based on the fact that he dared to hit supremacies and lock them up in the dungeon. He had won the favor of countless people. This was the real punishment hall. Regardless of whether one was a heavenly god or a supremacy, as long as one violated the rules in the Dark Shadow Palace, one had to be punished. In their minds, the punishment hall should be like this. Now, whenever Lin Fei was mentioned, the first person that came to everyone's mind was Lin Fei. Especially in the past 3 days, personal disciples of supremacies constantly sent in disciples outside the punishment hall. Those disciples were still flaunting their prowess a while ago, not taking the punishment hall seriously at all. But now, all of them were dejected. Everyone was very happy to see this. It was really satisfying. What awaited them was a trial and punishment. The best outcome was to go to the battlefield. In the past few years, the punishment hall's punishment had been too lenient. Everyone had almost forgotten how terrifying the battlefield was. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Almost all the heavenly god disciples who committed crimes in the Dark Shadow Palace were sent to the punishment hall. The entire Dark Shadow Palace became quiet. Those local bullies were gone. At first, everyone was really not used to it. There seems to be a few who haven't gone. I remember it's the Elysian Sons. I wonder if Lin Fei will attack the Elysian Son of Heaven's cave abode. Many people were waiting outside the punishment hall. They're out. The one at the front is Vice Hall Master Lin. So impressive. I heard that the disciplinary hall has reorganized itself and fired a lot of people. I wonder when they'll be recruiting. I think it will be soon. I must go and sign up then. Lin Fei came out with the law enforcement team. Cheers could be heard from outside. This time, Lin Bai and Zhao Wu didn't come out. There were too many things they needed to do in the disciplinary hall, so they didn't have the time to come out. Lin Fei heard the cheers outside. He did not need to look to know that these people were the middle and lower echelons of the Dark Shadow Palace. The local tyrants entered one by one. They saw hope. Vice Hall Master Lin, we love you. Vice Pavilion Master Lin, we want to be your disciples. Vice Hall Master Lin, there were even some female disciples who were gorgeously dressed. They kept throwing flirtatious glances at Lin Bai, looking very passionate. Lin Fei didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It seems like I've become a popular person after all this. On the way to the Elysian Sun's cave abode, a large group of people followed behind him. Their numbers were increasing, and those who didn't know what was going on might think that something big had happened. "We're going to fight the Elysian Sun. Count me in." "You're going too, of course." When Lin Fei arrived outside the Elysian Sun's mountain, behind him was a large group. 90% of them were ordinary sky god disciples, and all of them were extremely excited. The guards outside the Elysian Sun also gasped. Their usual arrogant and despotic attitudes were now gone, and they didn't even dare to glare at Lin Bai. Hall Master Lin Fei is here. No one dared to treat Lin Fei as a mere vice hall master. The reorganization of the disciplinary hall would definitely not be possible without the support of Hall Master Xinyang. It could be said that Lin Fei was exercising the authority of the hall master. The guards didn't know what to do. "Get out of the way." Lin Fei led the disciplinary team up. The guards looked at each other and tactfully stood to the side. If they were captured, they would be done for. "Elysian Sun, I'm here. When are you going to come out? Do you want me to order for you to be captured?" Lin Fei wasn't that well behaved. After reaching the peak, he immediately shouted. His voice boomed like a great bell, reverberating throughout the mountain peak above the Elysian Sun of heaven. It then spread outwards and into everyone's ears. As expected of Hall Master Lin, how domineering! I'm afraid he's the only one who dares to speak in such a manner on the Elysian Sun's mountain. Well done. I've really widened my horizons today. Hall Master Lin is truly domineering. The sky god disciples behind him all felt their blood boiling. They probably wouldn't encounter such a thing even once in their lives. Just thinking about how they could brag about going to the Elysian Sun's mountain in the future made them excited. On the Elysian Sun's mountain, Lin Fei quickly led his men up. No one dared to stop him. At this moment, they all became very obedient. He's here. On the mountain peak in a palace, the Elysian heavenly sun was sitting. Below him, there were a few exalted lords. They didn't seem very old, and at this moment they were all looking at the Elysian heavenly sun with a look of obedience. "Brother Elysian Sun, how do you want to deal with Lin Fei? Just say the word." A newly advanced supremacy dares to mess around in the dark shadow palace. He really doesn't know how to spell the word death. In any case, we have no opinion on what Brother Elysian Sun wants to do. The Elysian Sun had a smile on his face. "I'll have to trouble everyone this time." The Elysian Sun was very clear about the situation in the disciplinary hall. He also hated the first hall, Master Xinyang. This was clearly the first hall master's intention. Reorganize. He was the deputy hall master, yet he didn't know anything about the situation. This made the Elysian Sun very uncomfortable. "That Lin Fei is here. Let's go out and meet him." The Elysian Sun stood up and walked out. Outside the palace, Lin Fei came up with his men. The disciples outside the palace all glared at him. None of them dared to move. They looked at Lin Fei with fear in their eyes. This was a ferocious fellow who captured 6 supremacies. He didn't care if you were a supremacy or not. Even now, they were still holding him captive. Whoever offended Lin Fei would definitely lose a layer of their skin after being captured. "Deputy Hall Master Lin, you are really impressive. Are you trying to cause trouble?" The Elysian Sun also came out with his men. Powerful auras spread out. They were all supremacies. A supremacy beside him spoke first. His tone was very unpleasant and condescending. "This is the Eastern Tomb Supremacy, who ascended 300,000 years ago." Chapter 2901. The Elysian Sun came out under the escort of several supremacies. With one look, everyone knew that the Elysian Sun had great influence. The supremacies beside him were all well-known veteran supremacies in the Dark Shadow Palace. At the very least, they had cultivated for more than 300,000 years. For example, the East Tomb Supremacy had been a supremacy for 300,000 years. Since when did the disciplinary hall become so mighty? bringing people to intrude into someone else's cultivation grounds. A supremacy shouted, "They're getting more and more out of hand." This 600,000-year-old supremacy Kagura was also a supremacy with a bad temper. He was famous for being overbearing in the Dark Shadow Palace and was also a young powerhouse. With two young supremacies appearing at the same time, the significance was completely different. Everyone was waiting to see what Lin Fei would do, not to mention the Elysian Sun. The 7 young supremacies present were a terrifying force. Moreover, the Elysian Sun was able to invite them over and even seemed to be following his lead. This ability was not something that ordinary people could compare to. If these supremacies joined forces to deal with a single person, anyone would be at a disadvantage. It would be good if they raised their hands and surrendered. The Elysian Sun smiled and thought to himself, "You're still too inexperienced to fight with me." The drastic change in the disciplinary hall had indeed exceeded the Elysian Sun's expectations. To be able to endure for 20 years and launch a thunderous attack to wipe out the internal forces was indeed extraordinary. The Elysian Sun now wanted Lin Fei to know the importance of connections in the Dark Shadow Palace. How could Lin Fei fight him alone? They were not on the same level at all. 7 supremacies. Lin Fei had an impression of them all. The young powerhouses in the Dark Shadow Palace all had great potential. It was indeed not easy for the Elysian Sun to invite them over. However, they were still lacking if they wanted to deal with him. You have no right to interfere with the disciplinary hall's affairs. If you know what's good for you, scram. Lin Fei's face darkened. He did not give them any face at all. He said sternly, "If you obstruct the disciplinary hall's affairs, I don't mind suppressing you personally. I don't care if you're supremacies or not." They were fuming with anger when they heard this. This was too arrogant. The East Tomb Supremacy said fiercely, "How arrogant. You want to suppress us? Who do you think you are? Even the great supremacies don't dare to suppress us. How dare you? Apologize, apologize immediately." The faces of the 7 supremacies were filled with rage. How dare he suppress them? Get lost? What kind of joke was this? Lin Fei's words infuriated them. The Elysian Son of Heaven laughed, even more happily. Of all the people you could have offended, you had to offend the younger generation of the Dark Shadow Palace. You're in for it now. Vice Hall Master Lin, you're in the wrong here. They're seniors after all. How could you say something like that? Elysian Tianzi said hypocritically, "I think you'd better apologize to them." Lin Fei did not care about what the Elysian Sun said. "Vice Saint Hall Master, you should know what my goal is. If you hand over those people, it will be a win-win situation for both of us. However, if you insist on doing things your own way, I will really do it myself." The East Tomb Supremacy laughed loudly. "Everyone says that you, Vice Hall Master Lin, have rare talents. I've long wanted to see for myself how monstrous you are. Also, that famous thunderclap leap of yours. If you want to suppress me, bring it on. The Dark Shadow Palace is not a place where juniors like you can act so impudently." They had all seen the thunderclap leap before. It might not be that powerful. Moreover, everyone had studied it over the years and gained a lot of insights. Even if they really encountered it, it didn't mean that they had no way to resist it. As for the time when he injured the Elysian Sun, it was a shameless sneak attack. If one was intentional and the other was unintentional, it would definitely be effective. Lin Fei suddenly narrowed his eyes. Since these people wanted to help the Elysian Sun, he believed that as long as he suppressed them this time, no one would dare to look down on the punishment hall in the future. It would be best to use this as a warning to the rest of the people. Lin Fei was about to burst into laughter. He originally thought that the Elysian Sun would be alone, but in the end he invited helpers. He wanted to applaud. "Elysian Sun, you're really a good person. I know you. You're one of the youths of the Dark Shadow Palace. However, you're not qualified to spar with me." Lin Fei stared at the East Tomb's supremacy and pointed with his finger. You, and you. The 7 of you can come at me together, lest they say that I'm bullying you. The crowd was in an uproar. This is too exaggerated. He's fighting against 7 people alone. That's the East Tomb's supremacy, exalted supremacy, and the rest. All of them are overlords of the Dark Shadow Palace. Vice Hall Master Lin, you're so mighty. He's too arrogant. Although he defeated some supremacies, previously they were weaker. The youths are different. All of them have the strength of a 2nd-level supremacy. Together with their weapons and treasures, they can display the strength of a 3rd-level supremacy. This is going to be dangerous. This was a magnificent feat of fighting against 7 people alone. It was indeed sensational. Junior brother is so mighty, fighting against 7 of them alone. Just hearing about it makes my blood boil. Junior brother is a little impulsive. I like it. On a mountain peak, Chongyang supremacy and the other 3 watched this scene with their treasures. They had different expressions when they saw this, but most of them were excited. In recent years, as the Vice Hall Master of the Disciplinary Hall, Lin Fei had not been handling the affairs of the Disciplinary Hall. As a result, he had been affected to a certain extent. As his senior brothers, they were also anxious. After all, Lin Fei was the representative of his master. Junior brother Lin Fei was not good. Their reputation was not good either. This was how realistic the Dark Shadow Palace was. After becoming the disciple of the same master, everyone would involuntarily protect the interests of the Dark Shadow Palace. Now, junior brother Lin Fei had finally made his move. He started fighting as soon as he appeared. They were happy and shocked at the same time. They were happy because of junior brother Lin Fei's reputation, but they were shocked because this step was a little too big. It was as if he wanted to wipe out the entire Dark Shadow Palace in one fell swoop. That kid really didn't see wrongly. Divine Wind Supremacy of the Library Pavilion was lying on a chair and drinking wine. 1 against 7. If he wins, he will have a firm foothold. I'm really looking forward to it. Divine Wind Supremacy squinted his eyes. If the power of the Thunder Flash is stronger, I might have the confidence to take them down. I wonder what move that kid will use. Actually, ever since Lin Fei led people to attack the Supremacy's cultivation ground, everyone had been paying attention to him. With Lin Fei's actions, the peaceful Dark Shadow Palace started to become restless. The internal affairs of the Disciplinary Hall were no secret to the Supremacies. It was just a fight between the Elysian Sun and Lin Fei. And now, the fight had reached the level of fire and water. Everyone was extremely concerned. Would Lin Fei be able to stand firm and control the Disciplinary Hall, or would the Elysian Sun be better? You are really arrogant. Eastern Hill Supremacy sneered. We gave you face, but you still want to take it? You want to suppress the 7 of us alone. Eastern Hill Supremacy's group of 7 was enraged. Lin Fei wanted to step on their heads. Stop blindly competing. I'm asking if you dare or not. If you don't dare, then scram to the side. Don't obstruct me. Chapter 2902. The Eastern Tomb Supremacy, and the other 6 were completely enraged. They had seen arrogant people before, but they had never seen someone as arrogant as Lin Fei. He completely disregarded them. If they didn't suppress Lin Fei today, they would definitely become a joke in the Dark Shadow Palace in the future. No matter what, they had to make a move. Lin Fei wanted them to become a joke. They didn't mind turning the tables and humiliating Lin Fei. They knew that many people were paying attention to this place. Many people probably wanted them to attack together. Bullying the weak? There was no such thing. Lin Fei took the initiative to suggest it. It wasn't like they were ganging up on him. Elysian Tianzi was even happier when he heard this. With Lin Fei's intelligence, how could he fight against him? Although Lin Fei had displayed great potential, he was still far from being able to suppress the 7 of them. Eastern Tomb, Vice Hall Master Lin, that's a physique cultivator. Don't you guys want to seek guidance from him? Since he has already suggested it, don't reject him. That's not good. Elysian, Tianzi said. The Eastern Tomb, Supremacy nodded. Vice Hall Master Lin has already said it. If we reject him, it would be a little rude. We will agree to this matter. Exalted Goddess and the others also agreed. If you want to suffer, we will grant you your wish. Come, let's fight here. It'll be troublesome. Lin Fei got the law enforcement team to retreat. He stood with his hands behind his back. You guys can make your move, lest I bully you guys. This was the most arrogant person they had seen so far. He even wanted them to make the first move. Everyone, let's attack together and use our killer moves. Don't give him any chance. The Eastern Tomb, Supremacy, transmitted his voice to them. His thunderclap leap is not bad. If we use our killer moves directly, we have a high chance of winning. Let's see what he has to say. All right, let's use our killer moves then. Any one of the 7 of them would be a top-notch expert. Because their opponent was Lin Fei, they had to be careful. It would be fine if they won, but if they lost, they would be helping Lin Fei and they would become a joke. Water Fire Double Kill. 9th Layer Sacred Spirit Secret Technique Killing Move. The Eastern Tomb Supremacy was the first to act. He swore that he would definitely teach Lin Fei a deep lesson so that Lin Fei would know what regret was. He did not hold back at all. 2 dragons appeared on Lin Fei's body. One was a blue water dragon, and the other was a red fire dragon. They gave off 2 terrifying Emperor's intents. Most terrifyingly, the water and fire Emperor's intents could perfectly fuse together to form a terrifying killing move. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The 2 dragons coiled around Lin Fei's body tightly. Everyone could only hear a cracking sound. What a powerful 9th level sacred soul secret technique. It's able to restrict Lin Fei's movement space. What an experienced move. He took the initiative. Many supremacies were full of praise when they saw it. This was clearly a method targeted at Lin Fei. Everyone knew that Lin Fei had grasped the thunderclap leap. It was extremely powerful and hard to defend against. Now that the water fire double kill was used to entangle Lin Fei, it seemed like Lin Fei had lost his advantage at this moment. Extreme Frost. Another supremacy unleashed a powerful move. A terrifying chill engulfed the area where Lin Fei was instantly turned into a land of extreme frost. The people in the distance subconsciously shivered and hurriedly circulated their energy to resist. They kept retreating until they were very far away. They were barely able to withstand the chill. This is the Western Frost Supremacy's killing move. One move, heaven and earth icebound. It's a great threat to body-tempering cultivators. The 2 supremacies displayed their terrifying strength when they attacked. One was to restrict, while the other was to freeze. The terrifying chill could penetrate through one's body and freeze everything. Just these 2 moves were enough to make countless people's scalps go numb. I wonder if that Vice Hall Master Lin Fei can block it. Some people couldn't help but worry. The younger generation of the Dark Shadow Palace was far more terrifying than they had imagined. The 3rd supremacy made a move. It was Supremacy Shenlu. A green jade flute appeared in her hand. When she gently activated it, it would directly launch a sound wave attack that could penetrate and affect one's soul. This move was even more powerful. Almost no one could block these 3 moves. Their faces lit up with joy. Their coordination was too good. After the 3 moves, they could almost see Lin Fei's half-dead state. They were all smiling. If it were them, they wouldn't be able to think of a good way to deal with these 3 moves. The only way was to run. I thought he was powerful, but he didn't use the thunderclap leap. Now he's suffering. Without the thunderclap leap, Lin Fei isn't a threat at all. My Extreme Frost is specialized in destroying the deeper layers of flesh and blood. He won't be able to last long. The 2 and 4 supremacies weren't in a hurry to attack. Lin Fei still stood with his hands behind his back. There was no expression on his face, and he was extremely calm. "And the four of you, why aren't you attacking? These attacks are nothing more than tickles to me. Hurry up and attack," Lin Fei said unhurriedly. The faces of the 7 supremacies darkened, and their expressions turned ugly. After being attacked by 3 people, he could still talk and laugh. He even had a look of disdain on his face. Did he have to be like this? "I'm talking about you guys. Hurry up and attack," Lin Fei urged them again. "Bastard, don't be too smug." The remaining 4 supremacies couldn't hold back anymore. They attacked at the same time. They took out 4 treasures and attacked at the same time. This time, they attacked with all their might. What a powerful, protective technique. The library pavilion's high, Lord Windgod's eyes widened. With a whoosh, he arrived in the skies above the battlefield. His eyes shined even brighter. It really is a body protection technique. A body transformation body protection technique. How incredible! In Supremacy Wind God's eyes, everything in front of him changed. On Lin Fei's body, there was a faint layer of golden light that blocked the attacks of the 7 supremacies again and again. His defense was watertight, and no matter how they attacked, they couldn't break through that thin layer of defense. What kind of protective technique is this? This old man actually didn't see it. It can't be a new creation, right? The more Supremacy Wind God watched, the more moved he became. It was a perfect protective technique. With just this protective technique, Lin Fei was invincible. Even if the attacks of the 7 supremacies continued, they wouldn't be able to break through the defense of the protective technique. Impossible. Why can't our attacks break through his defense? He was clearly hit. What kind of technique is this? The attacks of the 7 supremacies did not stop. They attacked for a full hour. Lin Fei was still unharmed. He quietly watched their attacks and blocked all the protective techniques. They couldn't break through his defense at all. Chapter 2903. Lin Fei single-handedly fought against 7 young High Lords. That mysterious defensive art was beyond everyone's imagination. It was a little scary, At the start, no one could figure out what it was. It wasn't impossible to resist it with one's physical body. That would require one to be at least a 9th-order heavenly god realm. Lin Fei wasn't a 9th-order heavenly god realm, so there was no need to mention resisting with his physical body. Everyone thought it was some kind of treasure. Some powerful treasures could withstand powerful attacks, but they had to expend a certain amount of energy to do so. This definitely isn't some kind of treasure. It's probably some kind of defensive art from the body tempering school. A real physical body defensive art is at least a 9th-level Saint Soul body protection art. An elderly exalted lord exclaimed in surprise. It had been so long since he had seen a physical body tempering art that he had almost forgotten about it. This was a defensive art that was even more powerful than an emperor intent cultivators. The moment this defensive art appeared, it far surpassed the Emperor Intent Body Protection art. The two weren't on the same level. It was obvious that all of them were High Lords. At this moment, all of them were pale with fright. Just the thunderclap leap was already amazing, and now there was another defensive art. This meant that they were undefeatable. Defensive arts were the favorite art of body tempering cultivators, but most of them were low grade and had limited power. After a long time, no one would bother to cultivate them as it was too time-consuming. However, it was a different story for top-grade defensive arts. It didn't take long to recognize Lin Fei's defensive art. Unfortunately, no one knew what kind of defensive art it was, only that it was extremely powerful. Junior brother is really amazing. That's a defensive art, it's even more powerful than ours. Our junior brother has really obtained a great fortuitous encounter, High Lord Chongyang and the other 3 senior brothers were overjoyed. The stronger junior brother Lin Fei's performance was, the more radiant they would feel. In the future, who would dare to look down on the supremacy of the body tempering school? Moreover, Junior brother Lin Fei's straightforward and violent way of doing things was exactly what they liked. That was how a body refiner should be. In the past, they had felt that they had done things in a straightforward manner. But now, when they compared themselves to junior apprentice brother Lin Fei, the disparity between them wasn't just a little bit too great. This was the tyranny that a true body transformation style powerhouse should have. Junior brother is making a move. It doesn't seem to be the thunderclap leap. Did he change to a secret killer move? As soon as Lin Fei made his move, all the attacks around him were broken. A thin layer of Jingguang enveloped his entire body, making him look extremely dazzling at this moment. Ao Tian body protection. No wonder it's a treasure from the 6th level. Lin Fei was now using the Proud Heaven Barricade, which was the reward he had received from the 6th tier. It was incredibly powerful and had incredible defensive capabilities. This was the first time he had ever used it. The effect was very good, and he was very satisfied. Proud Heaven's body, fortification, spread out layer by layer. The 7 Venerables, Sacred Spirit, Secret Technique Killer moves were very domineering, but they could not break Ao Tian's protective defense. Since it was time to perform, Lin Fei didn't mind keeping a low profile so that they would know that in the Dark Shadow Palace, there was nothing special about it. If the great supremacies didn't come out, there weren't many supremacies who were his match. This was a display of his strength. 10,000 miles of mountains and rivers. Lin Fei used the 8th tier of the Secret Technique Killer move, but its power was weakened. Swish, swish. Waves of ripples appeared in the void. The movements were not huge. However, everyone heard the sound of water splashing in their ears. As the sound swept across, a scene of 10,000 miles of mountains and rivers appeared. There were high mountains and flowing water, blue sky and white clouds, cities and countries, thousands of soldiers and metal clashing. A majestic aura descended on everyone. The Eastern Hill Supremacy and the other 6 were the first to bear the brunt. When the majestic aura descended, they couldn't move at all. At the same time, they lost their connection with the space, as if they had been isolated. Oh no, we've been hit. This is an independent space. Damn it, I actually fell for it without any defense. To hell with it. 90% of the Sacred Spirit Secret Technique's power, the expressions of the 7 supremacies, changed drastically. No matter how they struggled, they couldn't break free. This scene happened extremely quickly. The 7 supremacies stood still. As Lin Fei waved his hand, the scene of 10,000 miles of mountains and rivers swept up the 7 supremacies, forming a scroll that returned to Lin Fei's hand. Hall Master Lin is mighty. Hall Master Lin is mighty. The first to react were the law enforcers behind him. Their gazes became even more fervent. 7 supremacies, and they were all young supremacies, were suppressed by a single move, and they were even sealed in a scroll. This was beyond their imagination. They were really suppressed by a single move. Their Hall Master Lin was too amazing. He was mighty and domineering. They're done for? This is too unbelievable. Who knows what that move is called? They were unprepared, and the 7 supremacies suppressed them. This is too terrifying. Vice Hall Master Lin, this is the strength of a peak supremacy. This is too monstrous. The people in the distance were in an uproar. They had seen the attacks of the 7 supremacies clearly, and they felt the same way. They had no chance of winning against them, and they were completely oppressed. But the 7 supremacies who had given them immense pressure were suppressed by a single move and sealed in a scroll. This method was too sharp and domineering. Terrifying, absolutely terrifying. Wind God, Supreme Lord, also widened his eyes. How can a body-tempering, secret techniques killer move be created like this? The space faction had always been mysterious and unfathomable. For example, the Great Teleportation Technique, or the Space Transfer Technique. These were all very powerful killer moves. But now, Lin Fei actually used a secret technique related to the space faction and sealed the 7 supremacies in one move. This was too powerful. Was this still the Lin Fei that everyone thought had reached the limit of his potential? The Dark Shadow Palace is going to have another peerless monster. How can he master such a secret technique? The Elysian Sun was shocked. He could clearly sense the vast aura that seemed to cover the entire world. The Eastern Tomb Supremacy and the other 6 supremacies seemed insignificant before the power of heaven and earth, which was why they were easily suppressed. Did Lin Fei go to the Black Domain? Such a secret technique can only appear in the rumored Black Domain. The Elysian Sun knew more than others. This level of saint, spirit, secret technique wouldn't normally be circulated. Who wouldn't treat it as a treasure? Today, Lin Fei had displayed 2 powerful secret techniques, one for offense and the other for defense. It was a terrifying combination of offense and defense. The 7 invited supremacies were sealed in the scroll. The Elysian Sun realized that he had underestimated Lin Fei. Lin Fei was stronger than he had imagined, and at the same time he was more cunning. He had actually hidden his strength so deeply. Holy Vice Hall Master, the people you invited have been suppressed. Can you hand them over now? Lin Fei looked at the Elysian Sun. The Elysian Sun's gaze turned solemn. I have really underestimated you. Back then, you shocked the world with a single brilliant feat. I didn't expect your strength to soar in just 100,000 years. Chapter 2904. He was coming at them with great momentum. The Elysian Sun had thought that by inviting his good friend over, he would be able to suppress Lin Fei, and at that time the punishment hall would still be his to speak. But now he realized that he was wrong. This Lin Fei, who seemed to have no potential in his eyes, had actually broken records time and time again, displaying his truly terrifying potential by continuously using the powerful Holy Spirit body-tempering killer move. For example, the move just now was brilliant and had the strength of a 3rd stage supremacy. In other words, it was the strength of a peak supremacy. This made the Elysian Sun fearful. Do you have to be so strong? Holy Spirit secret skill. Killer move. Take it all out. The Elysian Sun roared in his heart. When body-tempering experts use the Holy Spirit secret skill killer move, it would usually be very powerful. Although the Elysian Sun was not afraid of the other party, if they really fought, it would not benefit him at all. Instead, it would benefit Lin Fei. Regardless of the outcome, it would strengthen the other party's reputation. If Lin Fei did not display the strength of a peak supremacy, the Elysian Sun would not be afraid at all. Now he needed to think deeply. Should he make a move or not? I'm the Deputy Hall Master. I know best if anyone under me has made a mistake. The Elysian Sun said in a deep voice, You are simply making things difficult for me by asking me to hand them over. I will never agree to it. You better figure it out before coming again. The Elysian Sun could not possibly lower his head to those supremacies. If he lowered his head today, his prestige in the Punishment Hall and Dark Shadow Palace would be greatly affected in the future. The Elysian Sun would never allow such a thing to happen. I want you to release them. They are the honorable lords of the Dark Shadow Palace. Their statuses are high and mighty. Vice Hall Master Lin, what are you doing by sealing them like this? If others hear about it, you might become a laughing stock. Lin Fei knew that the Elysian Sun would not hand them over obediently. Sigh, I still have to use force. If I don't suppress the Elysian Sun, who knows how much trouble will arise? Lin Fei did not want to waste any more time on this. Master, there are 5 powerful auras watching this place. They should be the 5 great supremacies of the Dark Shadow Palace. Little Demoness transmitted her voice over. They are also paying close attention to this matter. It would be strange if I didn't pay attention to it. I wonder who gave me this assignment. Everything was fine and dandy, and yet they asked me to manage the Hall of Punishment and become the Vice Hall Master. How boring! Lin Fei wasn't surprised that the 5 great supremacies were paying attention to him. It would be too boring if they didn't. In that case, you're not going to hand it over. Lin Fei's sharp gaze swept over. What? You want to attack me? The Elysian Son of Heaven said playfully. Your body-tempering Saint Spirit secret technique is strong, but if you want to fight against me, you are still lacking. That might not be the case. A cold glint flashed across Lin Fei's eyes. He raised his hand and struck out with his palm, unleashing the 10,000 miles of rivers and mountains. As soon as the majestic mountains and rivers appeared, a terrifying aura swept out. The vast sky was covered by the mountains and rivers, and everyone felt an oppressive aura, and a chill ran down their spines. The Elysian Son of Heaven was already prepared. A dream, nothing. Huge rainbow-colored bubbles appeared out of thin air. Loud rumbling sounds could be heard. Every rainbow-colored cannon exploded, setting off monstrous waves. A huge wave of energy swept out, destroying large tracts of mountains and rivers. However, for the 10,000 miles of rivers and mountains, this was just a small impact. It couldn't stop the 10,000 miles of rivers and mountains from crashing down. So difficult to deal with. The Elysian Son of Heaven's attack just now was just a small test. His opponent's move was more powerful and tyrannical than he had imagined. It had the battle prowess of a peak supremacy. Such a huge increase in strength made him quite unhappy. How could this guy improve so quickly? Vice Hall, Master Elysian Son of Punishment. How dare you let your guard down when fighting with me? I'm impressed. Swish. The void fluctuated. Lin Fei rushed out, traversed the void, and arrived in front of the Elysian Son of Heaven, punching out. The 10,000 miles of rivers and mountains could be used as a long-range attack. Don't forget that Lin Fei was a close combat expert. He could traverse the void, especially at short distances. This was an advantage that others couldn't match. A Buddhist glow immediately appeared around the Elysian Son of Heaven. Many Buddhas sat cross-legged, and golden lotuses bloomed beneath them. Countless Sanskrit chants attacked, forming a barrier. Lin Fei's punch landed on the barrier, but it only caused a small ripple. If you want close combat, I know that too. The Elysian Son of Heaven forcefully resisted the 10,000 miles of rivers and mountains. He raised his hand, and the Buddhist glow around him spread out. He wouldn't know until he tried. Only when the 10,000 miles of rivers and mountains covered did the Elysian Son of Heaven's clone realize how terrifying it was. His strength was suppressed by more than half. Fortunately, he had the body-tempering, sacred secret technique. The two of them exchanged 7 or 8 moves in an instant, and they were evenly matched. The Elysian Son of Heaven is indeed one of the most outstanding disciples of the Dark Shadow Palace. He can exert such strength while carrying the 10,000 miles of rivers and mountains. He's really not bad. And Vice Hall Master Lin Fei, his strength is also impressive. Once he uses the 10,000 miles of rivers and mountains, no one can withstand it unless they have the combat strength of a peak supremacy. I'm afraid this battle is going to end in a draw. Lin Fei had to admit that the Elysian Son of Heaven was powerful. Even under the suppression of the 10,000 miles of rivers and mountains, he could still unleash such powerful strength. If not for the fact that there are so many people here, I would have directly unleashed the full power of the 10,000 miles of rivers and mountains. I can only use the Sky Splitter Hammer. It's time for me to unleash my true strength. With a thought, Lin Fei took out the Sky Splitter Hammer and held it in his hand. Swish! A purplish gold light flashed, and a thick beam of light blasted down, directly colliding with the Elysian Son of Heaven's Sanskrit chants. The Elysian Son of Heaven immediately felt how terrifying the purple light was. He took a closer look and saw the weapon in Lin Fei's hand. That seems to be the Sky Splitter Hammer. Lin Fei grabbed the Sky Splitter Hammer and swung it down, constantly smashing out rays of purple light that blasted on the Elysian sun of heaven's Sanskrit chants, producing a loud sound. Bang, bang, bang. The Buddhas turned into nothingness one by one, and the Sanskrit chants became weaker and weaker. After a loud sound, the Elysian sun of heaven retreated. The Sanskrit chants on his body disappeared. The terrifying power of the 10,000 miles of rivers and mountains once again affected him. The Elysian sun secretly cursed. The terrifying power of the killer move had affected him, causing his speed and offense to slow down. No matter how the Elysian sun of heaven resisted, he was still greatly affected. Swish, swish, swish. Several purple shadows blasted over. Lin Fei's figure also appeared. The sky splitter hammer passed through everything and landed heavily on the chest of the Elysian son of heaven. Cracks appeared on the Elysian son of heaven's tough body, and he was sent flying for 30,000 miles before smashing into a mountain peak, turning it into ruins. The moment the Elysian son of heaven was sent flying, Lin Fei caught up. With a raise of his hand, the hammer struck out, and dozens of rays of purple light blasted over. Bang, bang, bang. The Elysian son of heaven attacked in a frenzy. Only the peak supremacies and great supremacies could clearly see the subsequent attacks. Chapter 2905. It's the Sky Splitter Hammer. Vice Hall Master Lin is actually using the Sky Splitter Hammer. His strength has increased greatly. It's really unexpected. That secret technique, combined with the Sky Splitter Hammer, is so powerful. Even the Elysian Sun's clone couldn't fight back. Seeing this scene, the High Lords also widened their eyes. It was really too unexpected. Previously, when Lin Fei fought with the Elysian Sun's clone, although Lin Fei won by a small margin in the end, no one thought that Lin Fei had the strength to defeat the Elysian Sun. Even if it was a clone, it would still be difficult for him to do so. But now, they had to doubt their own analysis. The gap was a little too big. How could a draw end in such a result? Ha ha ha. Great Venerable Hantian laughed loudly. The Sky Splitter Hammer is too suitable for this kid. Together with this killer move, its power will be even greater. The Elysian Sun's clone can't even withstand a single blow. I wonder how this kid cultivates. I'm starting to envy you. What kind of luck do you have to have a direct disciple like Lin Fei? After this battle, you'll really become famous. The middle-aged scholar revealed a trace of envy. I'm just lucky. How about it? Although Great Venerable Hantian didn't speak much, he was very protective of his disciples. He liked his direct disciples the most. When each of them achieved success in their cultivation, he said proudly, "If you have the ability, you can also find one." The middle-aged scholar was speechless. "Forget it. I'm not as lucky as you. In the battle for the Shadow Throne, your disciple is already a done deal. Many people will be dumbfounded. Originally, I was going to stand up for Lin Fei, but it seems that there's no need for that now. That kid is already able to make those guys fear him. His position as the Vice Hall Master of the Punishment Hall has also been stabilized. In the future, no one will dare to look down on him." Great Venerable Hantian raised his cup. "Come, let's have a drink." The Elysian Sun's clone was sent flying and smashed into a mountain peak. Everyone was dumbfounded. Everyone knew that the Elysian Sun's clone had no chance. Lin Fei had an absolute advantage. The terror of the great mountain range had also entered the eyes of the supremacy. The most terrifying thing was that the Sky Splitter Hammer had extraordinary power. Back in the Dark Shadow Palace, it could be said to be a precious treasure. Unfortunately, no one had been able to use it. Now, it had fallen into the hands of Lin Fei. "Holy Deputy Hall Master, do you still want to continue?" Lin Fei came to the ruins and looked down. The Elysian Son of Heaven shook off the rubble and rushed out. His body was covered in cracks, as if it would shatter at any moment. "I've truly underestimated you," Lin Fei said with a smile. "There's no such thing as underestimating me. I can only say that you shouldn't have undermined me. Now, can you hand him over? Of course, you can also refuse. I don't mind using the Heaven Splitter hammer to completely shatter your body. The Elysian Sun's clone did not have many treasures on it. Everything was on the main body, so its strength was naturally affected. Although the Elysian Sun was furious now, he could only suppress it. There was no benefit for him to continue. He was really unwilling to give up. With the help of the secret killing move and the Sky Splitter hammer, the few attacks just now had consumed a large amount of his life force. You've won today. Next time, I'll definitely make you regret it. Lin Fei did not care much. You're welcome to fight me anytime. There was one more thing that Lin Fei did not say in his heart. If there was no one around and he could cut off the connection, he did not mind completely destroying the Elysian Sun and plundering his life force. The Elysian Sun had handed him over, and under everyone's attention. More than 20 people were all disciples of the Elysian Sun, and there were even a few confidants among them. Back then, the Elysian Sun thought that he had Lin Fei in his grasp, so he sent his confidants to handle this matter. Now it was really a trap. Deputy Hall Master Lin, you're too awesome. From now on, Supremacy Lin Fei will be the most outstanding generation of the Dark Shadow Palace. The strength of a peak supremacy. A disciple with unlimited potential has appeared under Supremacy Han Tian. The news spread throughout the Dark Shadow Palace. Soon, everyone knew about it. Lin Fei's strength was truly recognized. Lin Fei became the real master of the disciplinary hall. No matter who it was, they would show fear at the mention of the disciplinary hall. After all, there was a Deputy Hall Master Lin who did not give face to anyone there. After the Elysian Sun was defeated, he went into seclusion. This was silently adding salt to the wound. The disciplinary hall's law enforcement team also bared their fangs again. Not long after, the disciplinary hall began to recruit law enforcement disciples. Compared to the previous times, there were countless people who came to participate in the law enforcement disciple selection this time. Those who met the minimum requirements were all here. In Lin Fei's hands, the disciplinary hall's true power was displayed. Lin Fei left these matters to the 2 deputy hall masters, Lin Bai and Zhao Wu. They were happy and miserable at the same time. The power in their hands was also increasing. At the same time, they were glad that they had chosen to rely on Lin Fei. You're even better at shirking responsibility than I am, Chief Hall Master Shenyang said with a smile. Lin Fei shook his head. Of course not. Isn't it time to settle down and prepare for the Shadow Throne? Even though he knew that it was an excuse, Chief Hall Master Shenyang could not find anything to say. I still have to thank you. The disciplinary hall is now the real disciplinary hall. Your contributions cannot go unnoticed. They're still far from it. Only when the next few batches of law enforcement disciples are trained will they be considered the real disciplinary hall. Right now, they have yet to be truly tempered. Chief Hall Master Shenyang nodded slightly. With a role model, it will naturally happen soon. However, you have to be careful of the Elysian Sun. His doppelganger's strength is average, but his true body is truly powerful. It is rumored that he has the battle strength of a great supremacy. You have to be careful. Moreover, he has a treasure that can increase his strength to a terrifying extent. It is also because of this treasure that he is qualified to fight against Dugu Yijian. You're talking about the Divine Venerable Heart. Lin Fei had heard of it before. Yes, it's the Divine Venerable Heart. He was lucky enough to obtain it in a dangerous place. After refining it, it can increase its strength and form a terrifying Holy Spirit killing move. If you go up against him, you have to be careful. I don't want the disciplinary hall to become a mess again, in a dangerous place in the Saint Spirit domain. The sky was filled with black monsters, giving off an oppressive and suffocating aura. As a white-robed man appeared, a huge Buddhist seal landed, and the monsters instantly turned into dust. Then that man walked forward step by step, unstoppable. Lin Fei, 10,000 miles of rivers and mountains, sky-splitting hammer. The white-robed man revealed a smile. I'll let you be cocky for a while longer. No one can take my things. Suddenly, he waved his hand in the distance, and an invisible force swept out. There was a loud rumbling sound. Countless monsters were turned into dust. Brat, you've finally done something good. Lin Fei had become famous after this battle. He was no longer an ordinary supremacy. Instead, he was qualified to be listed as one of the most outstanding youths of the Dark Shadow Palace. Great Venerable Hantian liked Lin Fei more and more. That's because I have Master's help. That's why I can be so unbridled. Otherwise, if those people joined forces, it would be enough to make me suffer. Lin Fei said modestly, "Ha ha ha, you also know how to flatter people." Great Venerable Hantian laughed even more happily. "This is not like you." Lin Fei chuckled. Chapter 2906. Grand Venerable Hantian grinned like a cunning old fox. Lin Fei knew very well that this master of his wouldn't come looking for him for no reason. It couldn't be just a few words of praise. There must be a purpose. What good news? Lin Fei pretended to be curious. Just now, Lin Fei heard a hint of negotiation in Grand Venerable Hantian's tone. At the very least, Grand Venerable Hantian no longer regarded him as a personal disciple. There were a total of 5 Grand Venerables in the Dark Shadow Palace. Generally, Grand Venerables wouldn't speak to you in such a meaningful manner. There's a good thing. You should know that our Dark Shadow Palace has a fragment of a divine artifact called the Time Wheel, which can reverse time. It's the most powerful treasure in the Dark Shadow Palace, capable of speeding up time. At the same time, cultivating inside the Time Wheel can increase one's comprehension ability by more than 50%. Time Wheel? Lin Fei had heard of this treasure. Rumor had it that venerable god obtained it from somewhere. Inside the Dark Shadow Palace. Only those who paid a certain amount of contribution points or made great contributions to the Dark Shadow Palace would have the opportunity to cultivate the Time Wheel. For example, Degu Yijian, Elysian Tianzi, and the others had gone to cultivate the Time Wheel, and their strength had soared by leaps and bounds. All of them had contributed a lot to the Dark Shadow Palace. In truth, Lin Fei wasn't very interested in this. Comprehension? With the system's existence, he didn't need to spend too much time comprehending the Time Wheel. You should have an idea about the Time Wheel, right? Advancing from 8th Order, Heavenly God Realm to 9th Order, Heavenly God Realm might not seem far, but in truth, you need to master a 10th Order Saint Spirit Realm killing technique. It's extremely difficult to comprehend it, and the Time Wheel is your chance. Grand Venerable Hantian said, "It's a great help to you. You can find the right path and shorten the time needed to break through." Lin Fei's heart skipped a beat, realizing this was an opportunity. Suppressing one's strength was very tiring. If he could borrow the Time Wheel's help to unlock a portion of his strength, Lin Fei felt it was possible. "Master, it hasn't been long since I advanced, and I haven't made any contributions. I'm probably not qualified to cultivate inside the Time Wheel." Lin Fei feigned ignorance. He knew the reason. "Who said you're not qualified?" Grand Monarch Heaven Shaker snorted. "Now's their chance. In fact, the Record Pavilion wants to buy a copy of Thunder Surge and a copy of Myriad Miles of Rivers and Mountains from you." "I guessed right." Lin Fei said in his heart, "What will come will come." From the moment he used the Thunderclap Leap, Lin Fei knew that the higher-ups would be interested. A few days ago, when he used the vast rivers and mountains, the higher-ups were even more interested. If it was a move related to Emperor Will, the higher-ups would not be too interested. There were too many of those things. However, powerful killing moves related to body cultivation were a little lacking. They want it. Lin Fei was surprised. Grand Monarch Heaven Shaker corrected him. "No, I don't want it. I want to trade the Time Wheel's usage time with you. I just don't know if you're interested." Regardless of whether it was Thunderclap Leap or 10,000 miles of rivers and mountains, it seemed to be cultivating very quickly. That was because Lin Fei had taken a shortcut. However, if it was someone else cultivating them, it wouldn't be so easy. According to Lin Fei's calculations, it would take at least tens of thousands of years to cultivate the Thunderclap Leap to the great accomplishment. For those with poor aptitude, it would take at least 1 or 200,000 years, and the vast rivers and mountains would take even longer. Lin Fei was not worried at all that someone could master it so quickly. Most importantly, whether it was the Thunderclap Leap or the vast rivers and mountains, they both needed the support of the physical body. Without a strong physical body, their power would be average. How long will the higher-ups allow me to use them? Lin Fei asked. Grand Monarch Heavenshaker was very happy that the higher-ups were interested in the 2 secret killing moves and wanted to put them in the record pavilion. This was a good opportunity for his name to spread in the Dark Shadow Palace. No matter who cultivated in the future, they would remember the name Lin Fei. The higher-ups allow you to cultivate in the time wheel for 100,000 years. In other words, you can stay inside for 1,000,000 years. This time ratio was a little big. 100,000 years in the outside world was 1,000,000 years inside. Lin Fei also knew that 100,000 years of use of the time wheel was already very generous. If he used contribution points, he didn't know how much it would cost. In addition to 100,000 years of use, the Dark Shadow Palace will also give you 30 million contribution points. Grand Monarch Heavenshaker was envious. This disciple was much stronger than him. Not to mention anything else, 100,000 years of use of the time wheel was very long. This was also because the 2 secret killing moves were very powerful. Once a supremacy of the body tempering school cultivated them, his strength would improve greatly. The benefits of using 100,000 years of use in exchange were unimaginable. At the same time, Lin Fei had shown such great potential. Who knew if he could master the Sacred Soul level 10 secret killing move? Once he became a great supremacy, he would definitely be a powerful existence. The higher-ups of the Dark Shadow Palace didn't mind selling him a favor. Master, do you think it's okay? Lin Fei suddenly asked Grand Monarch Heavenshaker. Kid, you're really slippery. Grand Monarch Heavenshaker laughed and said, You asked the right person. You're lucky. Our Dark Shadow Palace has very few killing moves for the body tempering school. These 2 moves of yours are very powerful and mysterious. Ordinary killing moves give you thousands of years and 10,000 years, 100,000 years and 30 million contribution points. If they heard this, they would probably die of jealousy. Then I agree. Grand Monarch Heavenshaker acted as the middleman. 100,000 years of use of the time wheel and 30 million contribution points. Lin Fei specially went to check the information and found that it was really generous. Lin Fei took out the thunderclap and myriad miles of rivers and mountains cultivation methods and handed them to his master. A few days later, he received 30 million contribution points and 100,000 years of use of the time wheel. The library also had 2 more body tempering killing moves. This news spread quickly. This was a piece of good news for a body cultivator. These 2 body tempering killing moves, no matter which one it was, were very powerful. As long as one mastered any one of them, their strength would improve greatly, and they would be considered a powerful existence in the same realm. Lin Fei had even divided them into grades in detail, and their power levels were clearly defined. The people in the Circle of Supremacies also knew that the higher-ups were offering a handsome reward, which made them extremely jealous. 100,000 years of use of the time wheel. How many contribution points would that cost? As for the 30 million contribution points, everyone chose to ignore it. If they could comprehend the Sacred Soul level 10 killing move in the time wheel, they might be able to get twice the result with half the effort. At that time, they would be even closer to the great supremacy realm. Who wouldn't be jealous of such a good thing? Chapter 2907. Thunderclap. And myriad miles of rivers and mountains were not worth mentioning in Lin Fei's eyes. He felt that it was quite worth it to be able to exchange them for time to use the time wheel. The Elysian son of heaven temporarily bowed his head, and the troublesome matter was considered over. The disciplinary hall had also been refurbished. Batches of hot-blooded disciples joined in, and the law enforcement disciples were no longer as timid as before. You want demonic beasts with strong vitality. Lin Fei did not stay idle after he was done with these matters. 30 million contribution points was a huge sum. It was useless to keep it on him, so he might as well spend it. To Lin Fei, it was just a small matter. It wasn't much. The stronger the vitality, the better. You can also get some information for me, but the price will be much lower. Lin Fei found the Shadow Palace's department and bought powerful beasts. Since everything was settled, Lin Fei wanted to continue cultivating. He plundered a large amount of vitality to strengthen Ao Tian. He was currently at the peak of the 8th level, and there was still some time before he could level up. We will start collecting them immediately. The Shadow Palace was extremely powerful. Not long after, the first batch of demonic beasts was sent over, spending a total of more than 3 million contribution points. This was the first batch, and they would be sent over one after another. 30 million contribution points were spent very quickly. Lin Fei ignored the people outside and immersed himself in plundering the life essence. Compared to the powerful Ao Tian, he was still lacking a lot, and he was barely at the middle stage of the 8th level. Ao Tian had also become much stronger. Taking advantage of the remaining time, Lin Fei went to the time wheel. In the remaining time, the time wheel had become the most suitable place for him. There was still some time before the Shadow Throne, so if he did not improve his strength, what else could he do? This is indeed a mysterious place. The time wheel was a special independent space. Lin Fei sat cross-legged inside the time wheel, and the surrounding aura was very comfortable. Time began to flow faster, and he tried to practice all the killing moves that Ao Tian had brought. It had to be said that, in here, his comprehension of martial arts and cultivation techniques had improved imperceptibly. The parts that were originally difficult to understand were now self-taught. That's even better. Now that my strength has increased, I have a reason to talk about it. Lin Fei was very satisfied with this place. The time will continue to pass year after year. Outside, the Dark Shadow Palace also entered a short period of peace. Those who were cultivating and those who were training were cultivating. News about Lin Fei also began to sink. Everyone knew that Lin Fei had gone to the time wheel to cultivate. Even so, no one dared to touch the punishment hall. No one could bear the nightmare of Lin Fei knocking on their door. When the captured supremacies came out, their eyes were filled with hatred, but they did not dare to do anything. This 10,000 miles of rivers and mountains was something that all supremacies feared. Lin Fei didn't cultivate in the time wheel for long. The fight for the Shadow Throne had begun. Eldest senior brother Chongyang had personally sent a message. This was a big deal. When Lin Fei came out of the time wheel, the aura on his body became more and more majestic. The elder guarding outside also felt a chill all over his body. How long has it been? His strength has actually improved again. It's really too monstrous. As soon as he came out, Lin Fei went directly to his eldest senior brother's cave residence. Good heavens, you didn't improve again, did you? The 4 senior brothers of great venerable Shaker gathered together. When Lin Fei appeared, High Lord Chongyang's eyes suddenly narrowed, and he said to Lin Fei in surprise, "What kind of talent is this? I also went to the time wheel, but I didn't make such rapid progress. Ha ha ha, great." The other 3 senior brothers looked over, and all of them were astonished. Then they were greatly astonished. Clearly they were shocked. From junior brother Lin Fei, They felt a terrifying aura that made them feel suffocated. It was like a mountain blowing in their faces, and their protective cultivation techniques automatically resisted it. Fortunately, it's not as terrifying as Senior Brother said. Lin Fei laughed. This was deliberately done by him, releasing a bit of Proud Heaven's power. Sacred Cloud Dragon's power was average. Lin Fei's 8th layer Proud Heaven's power was mostly restrained, and his performance was not so outstanding. In this selection for the Shadow Throne, Junior Brother will definitely be selected. High Lord Chongyang breathed a sigh of relief, and he smiled. Originally, I was worried about you. After all, this time the fight is a bit fierce, and it involves another important matter. Important matter? Lin Fei was confused. Besides the Shadow Throne, what else is there? High Lord Chongyang's face showed a trace of seriousness. Actually, we also just found out about this matter. I heard that many experts appeared in the Devil Motherland, and rumor has it that they opened up a holy land of the Devil Motherland and received support. The strength of the Devil Motherland has increased, and the big and small demons have begun to expand. This time, the Shadow Throne selection will select the elites to participate in the joint operation of the three forces to suppress the Devil Motherland. The Devil Motherland was a place where there were many demons, and each of them had extraordinary strength. At the same realm, they could kill the experts on their side in seconds. Therefore, the demons of the Devil Motherland were very difficult to deal with. It was a place that even the three hierarchs could not break through. He did not expect to have such a fortuitous encounter. The joint operation of the three forces? This is really a big matter. Lin Fei was very shocked. It was definitely a big matter. This is a big battle. Our Shadow Palace, Temporal Temple, and Massacre Court will all send experts to besiege the Devil Motherland. Master hopes that you can be a part of it. Hi, Lord Chongyang said. All right. Lin Fei did not have any impression of the demons of the Devil Motherland. If he could join the battle and kill a large number of demons, he would be able to plunder life energy quickly. Once he reached the Proud Heaven 9th tier tyrant body, he would not have to worry so much. There was indeed a certain gap between an 8th tier and a 9th tier. The Shadow Throne selection would be held half a month later. It would be held inside the Dark Shadow Divine Palace. This time, the Hierarch of Dark Shadow would personally observe the Shadow Throne selection. It was very meaningful, and all 5 Supremes would be present. It was a rare event. Lin Fei came together with his eldest senior, Brother Chongyang, and the others. Vice Hall Master Lin. Vice Hall Master Lin. You are here too. Compared to his senior brothers, Lin Fei was very famous now. To put it bluntly, he was infamous. Junior brother's fame, hee. When Ren Zhengong said proudly, the faces of his senior brothers were also very bright. Our position is over here. The Dark Shadow Divine Palace was very big. In the center, there was an arena. It was filled with people, and all of them were Supremes. These people were sitting in groups of 3 to 5. Supremacy! Chongyang brought them to a higher position. Compared to the ordinary Supremes, their positions were obviously much higher. Junior brother, the Supremes below are all forces that have pledged their allegiance to our Dark Shadow Palace. Their Supremes are also qualified to participate. This was Wang Ting's first time seeing so many Supremes. At a glance, the number of supremacies alone had reached about 200. What we have seen now isn't everything. If we calculate everything, the number of supremacies that our Dark Shadow Palace can mobilize should be about 300, while the Temporal Temple can mobilize about 200. The Massacre Court has slightly more, about 500. High Lord Chongyang said, among them, the Temporal Temple's High Lords are the stronger ones. Don't underestimate them just because there are only 200 of them. More than 100 of them can fight 1 against 3, or even 5 at the same time. Lin Fei blinked. Why does it sound like the Dark Shadow Palace is the weakest? Chapter 2908. The Dark Shadow Palace, the Temporal Temple, and the Massacre Court were the top 3 factions in the Saint Spirit world. This was the first time Lin Fei had heard of such a disparity. The weakest? What a joke! After thinking about it carefully, Lin Fei felt that it did make sense. Although the Dark Shadow Palace could mobilize 300 supremacies, most of them were pseudo-supremacies. Their strength would not improve much in their lifetime. There were only a few dozen supremacies with real potential. That's why you're a popular person in the Dark Shadow Palace now. Supremacy Chongyang said with a smile as he walked. Let me introduce you to some supremacies. Those he could introduce were naturally supremacies who were close to the body tempering style. This is Supremacy Fan Qing, and this is Supremacy Skyfrost. She specializes in Ice-type Emperor intent. Lin Fei was very popular now. The people that Supremacy Chongyang introduced were all veteran supremacies with high positions in the Dark Shadow Palace. They were all very polite. Lin Fei was now a popular person in the Dark Shadow Palace. His strength was terrifying, and he had become one of the top figures among the younger generation. It was rumored that only Dugu Yijian, Elysian Tianzi, and the other veteran supremacies could suppress him. He could do whatever he wanted in the Dark Shadow Palace. Lin Fei had a faint smile on his face. He was very polite. We're here. Supremacy Chongyang brought a few of his junior brothers to a position. They looked down from above, showing the difference in their status. Lin Fei was also observing the surroundings. It was a grand event for 200 supremacies to come at once. They're not very strong. No wonder senior brother said that. There are only about 50 of them with potential. After looking around, Lin Fei shook his head inwardly in disappointment. Dugu Yijian is here. The white-robed Dugu Yijian was just like his name. His body emitted a lonely aura. A terrifying and sharp sword intent formed a sword domain around him, making it seem like no one dared to approach him. This was the first time that Lin Fei saw Dugu Yijian after tens of thousands of years. What a monstrous genius in the sword Dao. His sword intent is actually this sharp. Even though he was far away, Lin Fei could feel the sharp aura. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to withstand this aura. Sure enough, as Dugu Yijian walked over step by step, the surrounding people began to retreat. Fear appeared on their faces, and at the same time, they began to circulate their energy to resist. Solitary Sword is getting more and more terrifying. Supremacy Chongyang said in a low voice. He is the #1 Sword Dao expert in our Dark Shadow Palace. He was the first to break through to the great Sovereign Lord Realm. Dugu Yijian ignored everyone's gaze and went straight to a place not far from Lin Fei. You're not bad. Dugu Yijian turned around and lightly said, I thought you would stay immersed in it. This scene shocked everyone once again. Dugu Yijian was an arrogant person, and he actually took the initiative to speak. Didn't that mean that Lin Fei's strength had been recognized? The surrounding supremacies were envious and fearful. You're not bad either. Just your sword intent can make people circulate their energy to resist it. It's really getting more and more overbearing. Lin Fei replied with a smile. Can't you restrain your sword intent? The surrounding supremacies were dumbfounded. What kind of words are these? Restrain? His words are still so unconventional. Dugu Yijian was still very calm. Man and sword as one. The man is me. I am the sword, and the sword is the man. They can't resist it because they are weak. So they are not qualified to stand next to me. For the first time, Lin Fei felt that Dugu Yijian was quite interesting. He couldn't help but laugh. Well said. Dugu Yijian closed his eyes and went to rest. Junior brother, you're really brave. His sword intent is not easy to deal with. Wenran Zhengong said with fear. Dugu Yijian's sword intent could threaten the supremacies of the body tempering school. Only Lin Fei, who cultivated proud heaven, didn't feel so threatened by the opponent's sword intent. The sharp and frightening sword intent was a threat to anyone. It was normal for Wenrin Jingong and the other body-tempering school powerhouses to react. Junior brother Lin Fei, your opponent is here. Eldest senior brother Chongyang said with a voice transmission. Opponent. Lin Fei looked in the direction. A few middle-aged supremacies appeared with a strong aura. If the aura of an ordinary supremacy was a small river, then the aura of these supremacies was like a surging river. It was very terrifying. The Dark Shadow Palace's supremacies were not the only ones in the Dark Shadow Throne selection. There were also supremacies from outside. The competition was very fierce. Among them, some of the veteran supremacies who had never been to the Dark Shadow Throne were the most terrifying. Once they wanted to enter, even ordinary supremacies couldn't compete with them. Do you see that supremacy in green? He's the strongest peak supremacy in our Dark Shadow Palace. His name is Yifei. He tried to break through to the Grand Supremacy realm 3 times. He failed each time, but his strength is stronger than any other peak supremacy realm supremacy. It is said that he has the strength to fight an ordinary Grand Supremacy realm supremacy. Junior brother, you need to be careful. Moreover, this person is very close to the Elysian Heavenly Prince. They fought together before. Lin Fei swept a quick glance over. It was just as his big senior brother had said. The other party's strength was really strong and extremely deep. To be able to cultivate it all out after failing to break through 3 times, that was indeed something extraordinary. There's also that thin middle-aged man in gray robes. He's also a veteran supremacy called Huang Lang. It is said that he was a royal family disciple in the past, cultivating the royal family's secret art. He's very strong. This time, he's also here for the Dark Shadow Throne. I heard that he wants to obtain the treasures inside, so he can break through to 9th Order Heavenly God Realm. Lastly, there's another person. That short guy is an island lord who has submitted to our Dark Shadow Palace. His name is Su Hung, and his strength is not bad. Among the veteran supremacies, they are the 3 most qualified to enter. In truth, Lin Fei didn't really care about them. They wanted the Dark Shadow Throne's treasures, whereas he was only interested in the fierce beasts inside. If their vitality was strong enough, perhaps when they came out, they could push their physique to perfection late 10th Order world-defying realm. I hope you don't provoke me. A cold glint flickered in Lin Fei's eyes, but it disappeared in the blink of an eye. His expression returned to normal. They're indeed quite strong. Eldest senior, apprentice brother Chongyang introduced several more competitors to Huang Xiaolong. All of them were famous people who wanted to break through to 9th Order Heavenly God Realm. The Elysian Heavenly Prince is here. A short while later, the Elysian Heavenly Prince's main body arrived. Compared to his avatar, the Buddha luminescence around him was a grade higher. Wherever he passed, the supremacies would smile fawningly at him. Really knows how to act tough, ah. Lin Fei couldn't resist commenting as he looked at the giant Buddha behind the Elysian Heavenly Prince. What a great performance, ah. The moment the Elysian Heavenly Prince appeared, Lin Fei activated the shielding function, isolating himself from the outside world. I also think he's acting tough. Degu Yijian chimed in. Lin Fei laughed happily. I thought I was the only one watching him act tough. Chapter 2909. Elysian Sun looked over. It was extremely powerful. Degu Yijian's sword domain spread out and formed a terrifying vacuum zone. His sword intent sliced through all attacks, and the power of the attack was immediately crushed into nothingness. Lin Fei's situation was even simpler. He stood still, and the power that could devour one's gaze did not work. The test was very short. Elysian Sun retracted his attack immediately after failing, and not many people noticed the change. Lin Fei smiled at Elysian Sun and beckoned him with his finger. Come again. Elysian Sun smiled as well, but it was a warning smile. The 2 of them clashed, and it seemed like they were evenly matched. The great supremacies are here. When almost all the great supremacies arrived, the 5 great supremacies appeared at almost the same time, and they sat a few levels higher than them. It was very rare for the 5 great supremacies to appear at the same time, and it was their first time seeing great supremacies who had been promoted for tens of thousands of years. Lin Fei was the same. The 5 grand monarchs sat in a straight line. From the left were Grand Monarch Heaven Shaker, Grand Monarch Glory Light, who was dressed like a scholar, Grand Monarch Black Jew, who was clad in a scarlet cloak, Grand Monarch Shurjian, who was a powerful outsider with stone-like skin, and Grand Monarch Sea and Mountain Monarch. Apart from the ultimate gods, the 5 strongest great supremacies in the Dark Shadow Palace were all great supremacies who had cultivated for more than 1,000,000 years. For example, Great Supremacy Sea and Mountain Supremacy had cultivated for more than 10 million years, and his strength was unfathomable. What a powerful aura! They should at least be at the 2nd stage of the Great Supremacy realm. Lin Fei silently sensed the fluctuations of their auras. The 5 great supremacies' strength did not differ much, and they seemed to be in the same realm. Just like the supremacy realm, the great supremacy realm was also divided into 3 stages. The first stage was the entry stage, the second stage required time, and the third stage required some luck. Even the first stage of the great supremacy realm was extremely powerful. Lin Fei observed carefully. His master should be in the top 3 among the 5, and the other 2 great supremacies' strength should not be underestimated. The 5 great supremacies of the Dark Shadow Palace are already so powerful. The other 2 top forces, and those scattered forces, still have experts. Lin Fei was even more eager to become a great supremacy. The moment the 5 great supremacies sat down, the people below became quiet. The supreme divinity has arrived. Not long after the 5 great sovereigns sat down, the 5 great sovereigns suddenly stood up. A thick aura descended from the sky and landed on the highest position. As soon as this aura appeared, the powerful aura caused everyone to feel despair and suffocation. Even though it only lasted for an instant, everyone felt terrified. The 5 great supremacies became extremely respectful at this moment. Looking at the lofty hierarch Dark Shadow, he was filled with envy and excitement. When would they have the opportunity to break through to this realm? Hierarch Dark Shadow stood at the highest position, surrounded by a white mist that was faintly discernible. Weaker supremacies couldn't see through the white mist at all. This was Lin Fei's 2nd time seeing Hierarch Dark Shadow. Just like the last time, Hierarch Dark Shadow exuded a powerful aura. In his eyes, Hierarch Dark Shadow's life force was too dense, like a towering mountain. Even in a battle, unless it was an extremely powerful move, ordinary moves wouldn't be able to injure him. Just his dense life force alone was enough to make people feel despair. When one's life force became strong, it would also become extremely difficult to deal with. Compared to Hierarch Dark Shadow, Great Supremacy's life force is much weaker. If I were to use numbers to describe a Great Supremacy's life force, it would be 3. If a Supremacy's life force was 1, then Hierarch Dark Shadow's life force would be 10 or even higher. Lin Fei made a judgment. I'm currently at the proud Heaven Realm 8th layer, so my life force is also exceptionally strong. However, it's at most similar to a Great Supremacy's. Compared to Hierarch Dark Shadow, it's still too far off. Unless I can break through to the proud Heaven Realm 9th layer, then my life force will probably surpass a Great Supremacy's and reach 5. For the first time, Lin Fei felt insignificant. Hierarch Dark Shadow was ridiculously strong. Since everyone is here, then let's begin. Hierarch Dark Shadow's voice was full of majesty, making it impossible for anyone to refuse. Today is the day of the Dark Shadow Throne selection. On behalf of the Dark Shadow Palace, I welcome everyone. A middle-aged supremacy stepped onto the stage with a smile on his face. There are many young supremacies participating in this year's Dark Shadow Throne selection. I believe it will be more exciting than any other time. Now, let the first round of elimination begin. The selection for the Dark Shadow Throne was very fair, especially in front of Hierarch Dark Shadow. No one dared to play any tricks. First round candidates, step onto the stage. This time, there were many supremacies participating in the Dark Shadow Throne selection. There were more than 80 people, and many of them were here to try their luck. If they could enter, they would be lucky. If they couldn't, they could still come and gain experience. There were many people who had the same thought. This is a treasure of the Dark Shadow Palace, and it's called the 10 Death, 10 Destruction Illusionary Spirit Array. The middle-aged supremacy took out an array diagram. Next, you will face the test of the illusionary spirit array. There are a total of 86 people here, and 43 people will be eliminated in the first round. Whoever can last until the end will be the victor and will be able to enter the second round. The middle-aged supremacy activated the illusionary spirit array. Array flags were inserted into the void one after another. Then, there was a slight fluctuation in space. The people outside didn't seem to be any different. However, the person standing in the middle immediately felt that his surroundings had changed. He had inexplicably arrived at a battlefield with thousands of soldiers and countless experts swarming over. When the array flags entered the void, Lin Fei immediately closed his eyes. Block everything. The little devil immediately blocked everything. Lin Fei seemed to have closed his eyes, but in fact he was completely isolated from the outside world. The power of the illusionary spirit array didn't affect his mind at all. It looks very powerful. 43 people will be eliminated in one go. Lin Fei didn't feel embarrassed at all. He had cheated. There was no need to waste too much energy here. Even if he closed his eyes, the system would be able to see everything clearly. After the illusionary spirit array was activated, the 86 supremacies present all had solemn expressions on their faces. Only a few of them didn't seem to have any changes, as if they were just experiencing something trivial. I wonder how long the people this time will be able to last. The illusionary spirit array is used to temper the mind. It's not that easy to resist. Look, someone is starting to lose it. In less than the time it took for an incense stick to burn. Chapter 2910. The illusionary spirit array was just an appetizer. After the first High Lord left, the second High Lord, the third High Lord, and the 8th High Lord, the 9th High Lord, and the 10th High Lord followed. Solitary Sword is so powerful. There's no change at all. Elysian Sun is not bad either. I think Lin Fei is not bad either. Isn't it said that body-tempering experts have poor control of the mind? That seems to be the case. Inside the illusionary spirit array, the longer one persisted, the greater the pressure. 1 incense sticks time, 2 incense sticks time, 3 incense sticks time. Time ticked by. The High Lords were eliminated one after another. Hold on a little longer. We're about to succeed. It's the 50th. The High Lords in the illusionary spirit array kept cheering, determined to persist until the end. Soon, the 43rd High Lord left the illusionary spirit array, his face full of smiles. Ha ha ha, I'm the 43rd. Great. He could enter the second round. The 5 great lords also looked at the High Lord in the illusionary spirit array. Han Tian, your personal disciple, is not bad. He can persist until now. Grand Supremacy Sea and Mountain Supremacy said with a smile. Did he cultivate some secret technique in advance? Grand Supremacy Han Tian looked quite proud. Of course, my disciple is not simple. I really don't know what secret technique he cultivates. Body-tempering High Lords are famous for not being able to persist for long. I guess he will leave soon. The scarlet-cloaked Grand Supremacy, Black Absolute said. Not necessarily. Grand Supremacy Han Tian shook his head. My disciple can't be judged by ordinary standards. Grand Supremacy Black Absolute's interest was piqued. Why? Are you very confident in Lin Fei? Why don't we make a small bet? Grand Supremacy Hantian was not angry at all. Instead, he laughed. Brother Black, you're eyeing my treasure again. You never do things that don't benefit you. Great Supremacy Black Absolute narrowed his eyes and said, Of course, I don't want anything else. I heard that you obtained a powerful treasure called the Protective Ring, and my disciple happens to be in need of such a treasure. If I lose, I'll give you a body-tempering movement technique. Deal. In the Dark Shadow Palace, the 5 great supremacies had a good relationship. They rarely interfered in the competition, so it didn't affect their friendship. It was rare for Grand Monarch Heavenshaker to be so happy. I wonder if you're interested. I'll be the banker today, and I'll bet that my direct disciple Lin Fei will win first place. The other 3 great reverends laughed. Brother Han Tian, you're the one who said it. I think solitary sword can last the longest. I'll bet my heart of the sea. I don't have any treasures, but I recently made a scroll, petrify spell. I'll use it as a wager. Great Sovereign Shi Jian also took out a scroll. Han Hantian said with Han Supremacy Hantian said, I, White Lord. I, Lord, White Spirit, White Supremacy said, White Lord, Lord, White High. God, Heaven said, White Lord, White Lord, Lord Hantian, you're good. You're the banker. How about I also bet? Revered Divinity Shadow spoke with a smile on his face. Grand Supremacy Hantian exclaimed in surprise, Palace Master, you're here too. Of course. Let's bet your 800,000-year-old wine. If I lose, I'll give you a bottle of million-year-old wine. Hierarch Dark Shadow said with a smile. All right, to Hierarch Dark Shadow, a bottle of million-year-old wine was nothing. He was just curious as to why Lin Fei's new supremacy could last until the end. The illusion array continued to display its might. The power was getting stronger and stronger. Lin Fei shielded himself from all influences and could vaguely feel the might of the illusionary spirit array. An hour later, there were less than 15 supremacies left standing. To be able to last until now, these 15 supremacies all had considerable potential. That guy is completely fine. Elysian's son glanced at him and activated his cultivation technique with all his might. I don't believe that he can last longer than me. Among the 15 supremacies, Lin Fei was the only supremacy who practiced body tempering. He was notorious for not being good at body tempering, but now it seemed that it was not the case. Another incense, Styx time passed. The 15 supremacies became 8 supremacies. Among them, there were 4 veteran supremacies and 4 young supremacies. I can't hold on any longer. Supremacy Wang's expression suddenly changed, and he was teleported out. I can't even compare to Lin Fei. Supremacy Wang was truly unwilling, especially since Lin Fei had lasted longer than him. This was completely different from what they usually said. There were 7 supremacies present, although this was only the first round of elimination, and they had all entered the second round. They had to fight for first place no matter what. They could not fall behind the new supremacies. The power of the illusionary spirit array continued to increase. Among the remaining 7 supremacies, 3 were quickly eliminated. One of them was Supremacy Yi Fei and Supremacy Huanglang. They all looked as if they had seen a ghost. What kind of secret technique did that Lin Fei cultivate? He's too persistent. Another one has been eliminated. Now there are 3. Too amazing. Lin Fei had gained a fierce reputation in the Dark Shadow Palace because of the Punishment Hall incident, but there were still many supremacies who did not know about it. But now that they saw it, they all understood. This Lin Fei was indeed very powerful. Ever since the illusionary spirit array was created, there had not been a single supremacy who could last so long in it. Han Tian, did you do something to it? You body-tempering cultivators are the worst at this. How can that Lin Fei kid last so long? What the hell? The few supremacies also looked as if they had seen a ghost. It was too unbelievable. Supremacy Han Tian's face was full of pride. I told you that my disciple would definitely last until the end. I'll just take your things. Humph, that might not be the case. I don't see the Elysian Sun and Dugu Ijin around. It's still unknown who will last until the end. The fact that the 3 members of the younger generation could last until the end was beyond the expectations of the supremacies present. This was completely wrong. Many of the people present had experienced the power of the illusionary spirit array. Once inside, every second was a kind of torture. To be able to last for more than an hour, one's potential was very terrifying. What surprised them the most was that there were 3 supremacies Lin Fei. Since when could a supremacy of the body-tempering school endure so easily? Every time a supremacy of the body-tempering school went up, he would be the first to be eliminated. He can still persist. The Elysian Sun had been paying attention. However, the other party did not seem to be unable to hold on. Why doesn't he fall? This time the Elysian Sun's main body had returned not only to go to the Shadow Throne, but also to suppress Lin Fei's arrogance. But now, it seemed that there was a problem. Come on, let's hurt each other. Chapter 29:11. The Elysian Sun was circulating his energy to resist. The moment the inexplicable voice appeared, he was infuriated. He could tell who the voice belonged to. He can still speak. He was shocked. The Elysian Sun was well aware of the prowess of the illusionary spirit array, especially now that it was extremely difficult to resist. He did not dare to let his guard down and focused all his attention. Suddenly, the power of the illusionary spirit array rushed in. After suppressing it with great difficulty, he was almost teleported out. You're shameless. The Elysian Sun took a deep breath and transmitted his voice back. Who's shameless? You should be the shameless one. Why aren't you speaking? Are you so guilty that you can't say anything? Originally, we didn't interfere in each other's affairs. I have no interest in the Vice Hall Master of the Disciplinary Hall, but you insisted on tormenting me. Now, you're even allowing me to torment you. If you're not speaking, I'll continue. The Elysian Sun's original intention was to warn Lin Fei, but the situation changed. The other party continued to transmit his voice. Lin Fei's words became more and more unpleasant, and the Elysian Sun gradually became angry. He almost roared, and his body began to sway. The power of the illusionary spirit array had invaded his body. Too shameless, he caused me to be invaded by the illusionary spirit array. The Elysian Sun gritted his teeth. He could only try his best to resist the influence of the illusionary spirit array. Why aren't you speaking? Aren't you very powerful? Why are you acting like a tortoise now? This is too boring. The more Lin Fei spoke, the more enthusiastic he became. This lasted for the time it took for an incense stick to burn. The Elysian Sun's face was pale. He glared at Lin Fan, and with a whoosh, the power of the illusionary spirit array erupted, and the Elysian Sun was teleported out. Bastard, how dare you trick me? The moment the Elysian Sun came out, the influence of the illusionary spirit array on him disappeared. His gaze turned cold as he stared at Lin Fei. He had never thought that he would be tricked in the first elimination round. Indignant, the Elysian Sun was indignant. When the Elysian Sun's words came out, everyone was surprised. Under normal circumstances, the Elysian Sun had a powerful Buddhist cultivation technique, so he should have been able to last until the end. But the result was just like that, in everyone's opinion. Apart from Dugu Ijian and the Elysian Son of Heaven, there was no third person who could last until the end. This is too unexpected. What kind of technique did that High Lord Lin Fei cultivate? It's so powerful. Unbelievable. Dugu Ijian was completely focused. The Elysian sun of heaven actually went out. The power of the illusionary spirit array was nothing to Dugu Ijian, who walked the path of the sword. With the departure of the Elysian sun, only Lin Fei and himself were left. Interesting. How interesting. Dugu Ijian was very interested in the current Lin Fei. Ever since the test of the illusionary spirit array began today, Lin Fei had broken all kinds of records. Throughout history, there were only a few supremacies of the body tempering school who had reached this step. Dugu Ijian had never considered the Elysian son of heaven as an opponent, but now his opponent had arrived. 2 hours, 3.5 hours. The power of the illusionary spirit array had almost reached its limit. Dugu Ijian also began to sway. Even with his sword Dao, he could not hold on any longer. He glanced at Lin Fei, who was not far away, and his face was slightly pale. His body was as still as a mountain, and it seemed like he could still hold on. I didn't expect to lose by a small margin. Dugu Ijian stopped resisting and teleported out. After Dugu Ijian left, Lin Fei persisted for another 30 minutes before leaving the illusionary spirit array. How dare you trick me? As soon as he came out, the Elysian son of heaven approached him aggressively. Did I? Lin Fei laughed. Now that everyone is watching, you can continue shouting. The Elysian sun stared at Lin Fei. You're good, but when you meet me later, you'll definitely regret it. I'm looking forward to it. The Elysian sun suppressed his anger and smiled generously. You're really not bad. You've created a record for the body tempering school. Next time, no one will be able to break this record. In the eyes of everyone, the Elysian son of heaven was here to congratulate him. After all, Lin Fei had created a new record for the body tempering school's supremacy. That's true. It'll be difficult for me to break this record for many years. Lin Fei echoed. The Elysian son of heaven was infuriated, so he turned around and left, returning to his original position. Grand Supremacy Hantian's face was full of smiles. Ha ha ha. I'll accept the items without hesitation. It's really not easy to win against you guys. Grand Supremacy Heiju and the others were also dumbfounded. The body tempering school's Lin Fei had won. This was really abnormal. Since when did the body tempering school's supremacy become so powerful? Grand Supremacy Hantian was even more pleased with himself. His disciple had really made him proud. But the second round of the elimination round soon began. The first round was a mental test, but the second round was not a battle, but a test personally by divine shadow supremacy. 43 supremacies stood together. The middle-aged supremacy once again stood up and said, I'm sure everyone knows that the second round is a test from the Palace Master of Dark Shadow Palace. Everyone, please prepare yourselves. Divine Shadow Supremacy also stood up, his body exuding a disdainful aura. You guys are not bad. As his voice fell, a terrifying aura erupted from his body, surging over like a flood. The bodies of the first few supremacies trembled, and they were instantly teleported out, losing their qualifications. In the second round, only 10 of the 43 supremacies were left. Divine Shadow Supremacy's aura also increased accordingly. As soon as his aura descended, it made everyone feel great pressure. The supremacies released Emperor Will to protect their bodies, withstanding the fierce impact, and all of them began to wobble. Dugu Ijian's sword domain is so powerful. It sliced through the impact, forming a vacuum around it. And there's also the Elysian Son of Heaven. The power of his Sanskrit chant is also extraordinary. Lin Fei of the Body Tempering School has a strong physical body, but he actually chose to face it head-on. Wrong. That's a Body Tempering School's technique. It's really different. Under Divine Shadow Supremacy's aura, everyone tried their best to perform. Everyone used their body tempering technique to the extreme, and everyone could hear the sound of the surging waves, as if it was happening right next to their ears. Even if they were not within the range, everyone could feel the terrifying strength of the palace master. As the power increased, the supremacies present felt chills all over their bodies, and a terrifying sense of suffocation assaulted them. The supremacies were also teleported out one by one, and the terrifying pressure also disappeared, not leaving behind any nightmares. They could not help but admire the palace master's strength. This was also the first time that Lin Fei experienced divine shadow supremacy's power. What a powerful aura! There is no trace of Emperor will, and the power is perfect without any deviation. Chapter 29:12. Divine Venerable Dark Shadow's aura field was very powerful. Even the most ordinary suppression made everyone feel like a lone boat in the vast ocean. They kept swaying and activated their Emperor intent protection. After the first wave of suppression, the second wave of suppression came, and its power began to increase. After each wave, there would be supremacies who could not withstand it and left the range of the aura field. There were a total of 9 waves of suppression. The last time Divine Venerable Dark Shadow released a total of 8 waves of aura field, and no one could last until the 9th wave. Compared to the last time, the supremacies this time were much more powerful. After 5 consecutive suppression, there were only 20 supremacies left. All of them were powerful, and their eyes were full of fighting spirit. As long as they persevered, they would be qualified to enter the Dark Shadow Throne. The 6th wave of suppression came. It was more powerful this time. Compared to the 5th wave of suppression, the aura field contained Tao intent. In a dozen breaths' time, 3 supremacies were eliminated. In the 7th wave, 4 were eliminated, and there were only 13 supremacies left. In the 8th wave, another 2 were eliminated, and there were only 11 left. Exciting! I didn't expect 11 supremacies to last until the 8th wave. It's going to be the 9th wave soon. Our Dark Shadow Palace has become stronger again. The watching supremacies were delighted. Everyone hoped that the Dark Shadow Palace would become stronger, so that they could walk in the Saint Spirit domain with pride. Divine Venerable Dark Shadow was also quite satisfied. Compared to the last time, the Dark Shadow Palace's strength had increased a lot. 11 supremacies had lasted until the 8th wave. They were the future of the Dark Shadow Palace. Especially the younger generation, they had performed very well. The 9th wave is coming. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The power of the 9th wave was completely different from the 8th wave. It contained Tao intent. The 11 supremacies felt a powerful torrent of power surging toward them. Bang, bang, bang. The Emperor intent protection shattered on the spot. Immediately, some supremacies could not withstand it and were teleported out. 1, 2, 3. Instantly, 3 supremacies were eliminated. Just a little bit more, just a little bit more. One of the middle-aged supremacies hung his head dejectedly, full of reluctance. Just a little bit more, and the 3 of them were teleported out almost at the same time. He was the first to be teleported. He had lost the right to enter the Shadow Throne. The remaining 8 supremacies also used all their abilities to resist this torrent of energy. The next second, another teleportation. The crushing aura of the 9th wave was even more powerful and could deal a fatal blow. Being able to last a second longer was already a pretty good result. Under the pressure of this energy field, the one who performed the best was Dugu Ijian. He unfolded his sword domain, and the sword within it rampaged. However, after blocking the first round of attacks of the 9th wave, Dugu Ijian actually gave up on defending and was teleported away. This was beyond everyone's imagination. It's just a selection. There's no need to determine the victor. As soon as Dugu Ijian came out, he said to his friends with a calm expression on his face, "Voila!" Lin Fei also gave up. He appeared outside with a smile on his face. He had already experienced Divine, Venerable Shadow's aura. Actually, that was enough. He did not want to expose too much. The most important thing was to get the benefits in the Shadow Throne. Elysian Sun, who had been planning to suppress Lin Fei, saw that Dugu Ijian and Lin Fei had given up. His fighting spirit that had just emerged seemed to have been poured with a basin of cold water, and he was completely dumbfounded. These two guys, do you have to do this? This is a chance to show off in front of the Shadow Palace Master. Are you going to let me show off? Elysian Sun looked helpless. This was really a trap. Junior brother, why did you come out? Elysian Sun is very angry with you. Master Chongyan laughed loudly. Anyway, we've already got a place. There's no need to persist until the end. Wenren Jingong also laughed and said, But Elysian Sun has no place to show off. At this time, Dugu Ijian also looked over and smiled at Lin Fei. It was a fleeting smile, and if one was not particularly serious, it was almost invisible. The 5 great supremacies were also speechless. Han Tian, your disciple really has a personality. I thought that only Dugu Ijian had a personality. Your disciple is the same. Great supremacy, He Ju said with a smile. Your disciple not only has a personality, but he is also quite cunning. I originally wanted to see how long he could persist, but it seems that I got excited for nothing. Great Supremacy Glory shook his head and said with a speechless expression. Great Supremacy Han Tian secretly praised Lin Fei. He was very satisfied with Lin Fei's performance. Sometimes it was necessary to hide one's true strength. I was going to say it, but I didn't expect you to be more thoughtful than I was. The competition in the Shadow Throne was not a trivial matter. Although there would not be any danger, if one's trump card was seen by others, it would easily arouse the other party's vigilance, and it would not be very effective. How can I control my disciple? Grand Supremacy Han Tian said with a helpless smile. Therefore, he has been cultivating alone for the past 100,000 years. The other 4 great supremacies did not know whether to laugh or cry. Great Supremacy Han Tian was showing off his disciple again. Ever since Lin Fei became a supremacy and suppressed the Elysian Sun, they had heard many praises for Lin Fei, which made them very speechless. However, they could not find a disciple who could compare to Lin Fei. What made them even more speechless was that when Great Supremacy Han Tian accepted a personal disciple, he had just happened to pass by and picked up a good disciple out of thin air. The more they thought about it, the angrier they became. After Lin Fei and Dugu Ijian took the initiative to give up, everyone wanted to watch an exciting competition, but they immediately gave up on that idea. The following battles were obviously not interesting. The remaining supremacies decisively gave up resisting. In the blink of an eye, only the Elysian Sun was left, with a huge Buddha behind him. It looked very awkward, no matter how they looked at it. In the end, the first place was taken by the Elysian Sun. However, the Elysian Sun's expression did not look good. It was completely because the other party had given up on him. Hierarch Dark Shadow retracted his aura, and everyone breathed a sigh of relief. The Shadow Throne will be open to the public in a month. This was tantamount to setting the tone. 1 month later, everyone could enter the Shadow Throne. The rest of the matter was simple. After saying a few words, Hierarch Dark Shadow left, followed by the 5 great supremacies. All the supremacies present came up to congratulate them. The Shadow Throne was an opportunity. If they could obtain that treasure, their chances of becoming a great supremacy in the future would be much higher. If these 10 people entered, no matter what they obtained, it would be a great harvest. Chapter 29:13. The selection for the Shadow Throne was not very intense. After all, it was just a qualification contest. The real competition depended on what good items one could bring out after entering the Shadow Throne. It was normal for some supremacies to return empty-handed after entering. There were also some supremacies who returned with great rewards. The next trip to the Shadow Throne was the most important. Lin Fei did not stay idle after obtaining the qualification to enter the Shadow Throne. He constantly flipped through the information on the Shadow Throne that his master had given him and compared it with the large amount of information in the system to fill in the gaps. He had a deeper understanding of the Shadow Throne. During this period, the Dark Shadow Palace kept spreading news that the 10 supremacies had joined forces with each other. For example, the Elysian Sun hooked up with the veteran supremacy, Yi and formed a small team. The other supremacies also began to choose to join forces with others. The Shadow Throne was a very unfamiliar and dangerous place. Every time the Shadow Throne opened, most people would choose to join forces. If they did not join forces, they would not be able to make it through. Lin Fei did not care much when he heard this news. His goal for this trip was to kill the shadow beasts in the Shadow Throne and plunder their life energy. He really did not care much about the treasures. The only treasure that could move Lin Fei now was the divine essence sand. 150 caddies of it was something that would give him a headache. Until now, Lin Fei still had no clue. As for the Tianhe Kingdom, there was only a handful of divine essence sand left after the last time, so he was not interested. He could only take it one step at a time. Junior brother, are you planning to join forces with others? Are you going to enter the Shadow Throne alone? Half a month later, eldest senior brother Chongyang came over and asked anxiously. Among the upper echelons of the Dark Shadow Palace, the most discussed topic was the Dark Shadow Throne. Eldest senior brother, even if I want to join forces with others, they will not agree. Lin Fei said with a bitter smile. If they really wanted to join forces, they would have come a long time ago. They would not be as quiet as they are now. I have been pushed out by them. Eldest brother Chongyang was a meticulous person. He immediately understood what his junior brother said. It must be the Elysian Sun of heaven's doing. If it wasn't for him, with junior brother's strength, those supremacies would definitely come looking for you. Eldest brother Chongyang was also angry. Eldest senior brother, the Shadow Throne isn't a mountain of knives or a sea of fire. If they can challenge it, why can't I? Besides, I'm a supremacy of the body tempering school, and I have a protective technique. No matter what, I'm not that weak. Lin Fei said, Eldest senior brother, won't you come over and just talk to me about this? Eldest senior brother Chongyang gave a hollow laugh. Actually, it's nothing much. I just wanted to discuss something with junior brother. Now it seems that it's a little troublesome. After all, junior brother is now alone without any teammates. It's too difficult to do it. Forget it. This was the first time his eldest senior brother had come to discuss something with him. Lin Fei asked curiously, Wait a minute, eldest senior brother. Since you're here, why don't you tell me? What if I have a solution? Eldest senior brother Chongyang had indeed come to look for Lin Fei. After hearing his junior brother's words, it made sense. After all, his junior brother couldn't be treated as an ordinary supremacy. Actually, it's like this. Eldest senior brother Chongyang organized his words. Junior brother should have some understanding of the Shadow Throne. It's a special place with rich resources, but it's also very dangerous. Even supremacies have to be careful when they enter. They don't have the strength to do as they please. However, the resources in the Shadow Throne are very popular among the supremacies. Every time the Shadow Throne opens, many supremacies will ask to buy some of the things in the Shadow Throne. As you know, supremacies of the body tempering school don't have as much money as supremacies with emperor intent. Eldest senior brother Chongyang understood what he meant. Eldest senior brother, you mean that junior brother should help you get some resources from the Shadow Throne? Eldest senior brother Chongyang nodded. That was my original intention, but I don't think it's possible now. Lin Fei had an idea. Eldest senior brother, can you tell me what kind of things are in the Shadow Throne that are more popular outside? I might really be able to bring them out. There's no harm in telling you. Eldest senior brother Chongyang had been to the Shadow Throne in the past, and the dangers inside were still fresh in his memory. If he didn't collaborate with others, it would be very difficult to collect those resources. There are many resources in the Shadow Throne, and the most valuable are the ores eldest senior brother Chongyang explained. Since he wasn't in a hurry, he was very detailed and didn't leave out any resources. Lin Fei listened very carefully, and an idea popped up in his mind. Perhaps I can become a merchant. With the supremacy's emphasis on this, I reckon that selling it to the Shadow Palace would bring me a huge sum of money. I might even be able to easily exchange it for the divine origin energy, sand outside. Initially, he was still worried about the divine origin energy sand, but after hearing eldest senior brother Chongyang's words, Lin Fei immediately had an idea. It seemed like he could go in and make a fortune. Eldest senior brother Chongyang left. Lin Fei didn't stay idle. He personally went to the Shadow Palace to find out more about the items produced by the Shadow Throne. You don't say, the prices are really not cheap. The items in the Shadow Throne are unique in the Saint Spirit domain, so it's normal for the prices to be high. If eldest senior brother has this idea, I reckon that the Elysian Sons and the others have the same idea. Lin Fei returned to his cave abode and started to register. It wasn't difficult for him to obtain a price list from the Shadow Palace. No one would dare to offend a rising supremacy like him. The ores are the most popular. Apart from that, there are also the Shadow Treasures and the Shadow Beast's leather armor. Each of them is good stuff, and they can be forged into supremacy level battle armor. Lin Fei finally had something to do. I have the system by my side, so no one can compete with me for the items in the Shadow Throne. Aren't you guys planning to cheat me? Let's see who's cheating who. This time, I'm going to do a big sweep. A month passed in the blink of an eye. The day to enter the Shadow Throne had arrived. Lin Fei arrived rather early. Supremacy Lin Fei, this is your teleportation stone. Once he entered, a middle-aged supremacy came up to him. After greeting him, he took out a piece of jade. This is the teleportation stone that the palace lord personally refined. When you encounter danger, you can use it to teleport out. Lin Fei valued the Shadow Throne even more. The teleportation stone that the Shadow Palace Lord personally refined was definitely extraordinary. Even a supremacy's life could be threatened by it. Chapter 29:14. The higher-ups are quite thoughtful. They even prepared teleportation stones. Lin Fei put away the teleportation stone. He was looking forward to the Shadow Throne trip. Although there were some materials left in the library, there were no images. In Lin Fei's view, this was to maintain the mystery of the Shadow Throne. Not long later, another 3 supremacies arrived, and they were all veteran supremacies. Supremacy Yi Fei, Supremacy Su Heng, and Supremacy Huang Lang entered at almost the same time. When they saw Lin Fei, Supremacy Yi Fei, and Supremacy Huang Lang only glanced at him before walking to the other side to get their teleportation stones. Supremacy Su Heng nodded slightly at Lin Fei, showing his friendliness. Since Lin Fei had already nodded, he wouldn't reject him, so he greeted him with a smile. I'm disliked by the veteran supremacies. Lin Fei could sense enmity from them. My physique cultivator strength is still a threat to them. Elysian Sun is also a good move to rope everyone in so quickly. What a pity. Supremacy Su Heng stood not far away. Beside him were 2 young supremacies. They were Supremacy Pain Star and Supremacy Luo Hua. They had advanced for hundreds of thousands of years and had decent potential. That's right. The Shadow Throne isn't an ordinary place. It's filled with danger. Palace Lord even prepared teleportation stones for us. Lin Fei probably won't be able to move an inch alone. He might not even be able to pass the first level. Supremacy Pain Star had a lukewarm impression of Lin Fei. Supremacy Luo Hua was a woman, and she wasn't young anymore. She shook her head slightly and revealed a trace of regret. He has offended too many people. Even if someone wants to team up with him, they have to consider the consequences of offending the supremacies of the Shadow Palace. Su Heng had a good impression of Lin Fei. It wasn't easy for a physique cultivator to reach this step. If not for the previous incident, Su-hung would have invited Lin Fei to join the team. With a physique cultivator, the team would be able to last longer. Supreme Lord Yi Fei and Supreme Lord Huang Lang stood together. Behind them stood two young Supreme Lords. They were Supreme Lord River Mountain and Supreme Lord Wuqing. That guy probably doesn't know that he's been abandoned. Yi Fei smiled with his eyes squinted. His smile was extremely cold. That's right. It wasn't easy to get the qualification. Once he gets in, he'll be kicked out in less than 3 days. Supreme Lord Huang Lang's aura was very heavy, mighty, and mighty. At this moment, he was filled with a cold smile. Everyone knows that the Shadow Throne is a strange land. If you want to search for treasures inside, you have to join hands with others. If you go in alone, not many people will be able to last until the end. As veteran supremacies, the two of them didn't like Lin Fei at all. Many of their disciples had been captured by the punishment hall and were still serving there. Even if they asked someone to tell them, the result would be the same. The moment the Shadow Throne's quota was announced, some supremacies immediately came to find trouble for Lin Fei. They wanted to prevent them from forming a team with Lin Fei. To begin with, they were already unhappy with Lin Fei, so they naturally wouldn't reject their request. All of them smiled and agreed. After releasing the news, no one dared to look for Lin Fei anymore. Brother Sheng is here. Elysian's son walked into the palace with a smile. He glanced at Lin Fei, who was standing at a corner. When he saw that there was no one around, the smile on his face became even more radiant. Vice Hall Master Lin, why are you alone? Elysian's son wasn't in a hurry to collect the teleportation stone. Now that there was such a good opportunity to ridicule Lin Fei, he definitely wouldn't miss it. Even now, his face was still burning from the incident a month ago. Originally, they wanted to have a duel to see who could last until the end. In the end, both Lin Fei and Dugu Yijin gave up. In the end, their efforts were in vain. Their first place seemed to have become a joke. Although Elysian's son was unhappy with Dugu Yijin's actions, he really didn't dare to do anything to him. Dugu Yijin's sword Dao-killing move was one of the 10 great sects and was extremely powerful. Hence, he bore a grudge against Lin Fei. With the new and old grudges added together, no matter how he looked at Lin Fei, he didn't like it. Can't I do it alone? Lin Fei smiled. Elysian's son was choked and felt uncomfortable all over. He squinted his eyes and said, I just feel that the Shadow Throne isn't an ordinary place. It's dangerous to be alone. It's a pity that Vice Hall Master Lin has missed this rare opportunity. I really feel pity for you. Unlike me, who teamed up with a few people, I believe that this trip will definitely be very rewarding. Is that so? We've all entered the Shadow Throne. Could it be that Vice Hall Master wholly knows the situation inside? Lin Fei laughed. I'm guessing that you won't be able to obtain anything good on this trip, because I'll be able to obtain more than you. Why don't you follow me? If I'm happy, I'll give you a share, so that you won't end up empty-handed. The surrounding supremacies shook their heads slightly when they heard this. He's too arrogant. The Shadow Throne is full of danger, and there are a large number of shadow beasts. He actually dares to boast so shamelessly. He must be out of his mind. I reckon that he'll be the first to roll out. He's too shameless. None of the supremacies believed Lin Fei's words. Alone? Not even a body-tempering cultivator. Elysian's son was full of ridicule. Vice Hall Master Lin is indeed Vice Hall Master Lin. You're full of confidence. Then, I'll congratulate you in advance. I hope that you'll be able to obtain more treasures than us. Lin Fei smiled and said, when the time comes, just don't be so depressed that you want to cry. We're all generous people. Why would we? Elysian's son said, Vice Hall Master Lin. On the other hand, if you encounter any danger, you can look for me. As a colleague, I'll definitely help you. Ha 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 ha. Elysian's son could already see Lin Fei's miserable appearance. Dugu Yijin was the last to arrive. He was also alone. After Dugu Ijin arrived, Su Hong went up to greet him and made an invitation, but the other party tactfully rejected. Elysian's son narrowed his eyes and transmitted a message to Supremacy Yi Fei and Supremacy Huang Lang. This time, our Shadow Throne will be the biggest winner. As long as Dugu Ijin didn't join Supremacy Su Heng's team, Elysian's son would be completely at ease. Regardless of how powerful they would always be at a disadvantage if they were alone in the Shadow Throne. This was the accumulated experience of the supremacies of the Dark Shadow Palace. Back then, there were many heroic supremacies who ventured into the Shadow Throne alone. Afterwards, they all came out in a miserable state and became a joke in everyone's eyes. Until now, no one would go to the Shadow Throne alone. No matter how bad it was, they had to join the team. There was strength in numbers. Only then would they be able to obtain the corresponding treasures in the Shadow Throne. Lin Fei and Dugu Ijin's actions were completely foolish. Elysian's son was even less worried that the two of them would team up. Dugu Ijin was famous for being stubborn. Chapter 29:15. Everyone retracted their thoughts. Their goal was the same. Even though Lin Fei's arrogant words made them feel ridiculous, when they retracted their thoughts, they looked at Lin Fei with pity. This foolish and arrogant fellow would soon regret his words. If he lowered his head and joined the Elysian son's team, it should not be difficult for him to pass the first level. After all, a peak supremacy of the body tempering school was still worthy of everyone's attention. When everyone retracted their gazes, Dugu Ijin calmly looked at Lin Fei with a strange expression. Lin Fei did not care so much. In this day and age, no one will believe the truth. He muttered to himself, "Follow me." A supremacy opened up a passage and walked in first. The people behind him followed one after another. The passage was not very long. After a while, they came to an independent space. This space was very small and was no different from a cave abode. But when they stepped in, the passage behind them disappeared. It was as if they had arrived in an independent space out of thin air. Such an independent space did not have any location information. The supremacies present did not have the ability to find this independent space. It seems like there's no hope. Lin Fei shook his head. He still wanted to try to find the Shadow Throne through the clues left behind. When he had nothing to do, he could go in and take advantage of it. "Master, this space is very special. It should have been set up by the Shadow Palace Lord himself. It moves around at any time, and there is no way to catch it. I suspect that it is outside the Saint Spirit domain." Lin Fei had actually thought of it as well. The Saint Spirit domain was very big. Although it seemed easy for Lin Fei to come up from the lower world, it was not easy to leave the Saint Spirit domain. However, it was not easy to get out of the Saint Spirit domain again. There was a layer of frightening material energy outside the void. He only found out about this after entering the Dark Shadow Palace. That material energy sealed the Saint Spirit domain up and down, forming an independent space. There were records of this in the ancient books in the library, and Lin Fei happened to know about it. If the Shadow Throne was placed in an ordinary void, Lin Fei would have plenty of ways to find it. However, if it was placed in that kind of material energy, it would be equivalent to blocking everything. With his current methods, he would not be able to find any traces of it. Soon, Lin Fei noticed the black stone door in front of him. On the stone door, there was a portrait of a huge head. It was vivid and lifelike, and those deep eyes seemed to contain an immense power. If one stared at them for a while, they would feel as if their entire being would be sucked into them, unable to extricate themselves. It was extremely terrifying. Everyone quickly circulated their energy to resist. Behind this door is the Shadow Throne. Everyone get ready. I'm going to open the stone door. The middle-aged High Lord reminded everyone. Open. 2 sparkling and translucent black pearls flew out of the middle-aged Reverend's hand and into the empty eye of the portrait. Boom, boom, boom. As the object was inserted into the eye of the painting, the cave started to shake without any warning, following which, two beams of light shot out and intersected with each other. They rotated endlessly and forcefully opened up a black tunnel that led to a mysterious place. "You can go in." The middle-aged High Lord was obviously used to this kind of situation. "Hoo hoo hoo hoo." In the black tunnel, boundless roars could be heard. Just listening to it made one's scalp go numb. The expressions of the 10 reverends finally changed. Just the sound alone made them feel a huge sense of danger. This was something that they didn't usually feel. Was this the throne of shadows? Before entering, everyone could already feel the boundless danger. The shadow throne truly lives up to its name. Ha ha ha! Elysian's son laughed loudly and was filled with excitement. He waved his hand. "Let's go in." Their group was the first to enter. With the 10 reverends, Elysian's son's group had 5 people, which was also the strongest group. Elysian's son was the last to enter. "Vice Hall Masterlin, I'll be waiting for you inside." He went in proudly. The second group was Su Hung, and a total of 3 reverends followed closely behind. In the cave, only Dugu Ijian and Lin Fei were left. The two of them exchanged glances and turned into streams of light, rushing in one after another. The passageway slowly closed up and disappeared without a trace. The middle-aged supremacy took out 2 black pearls and turned around to leave the cave dwelling. The huge cave dwelling collapsed, as if it had never existed. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Lin Fei and Dugu Ijian arrived at almost the same time. They immediately discovered that they were in a place similar to an intersection. In front of them, there were 10 tunnels. Each tunnel was like the entrance to hell. At the same time, it was accompanied by endless roars that made everyone's hair stand on end. From these roars, they sensed a dangerous aura. This should be the first floor of the Shadow Throne, the Shadow Corridor. Elysian's son squinted his eyes. It said that each shadow corridor is different in danger. Some tunnels have a slim chance of survival. We have to choose carefully. Just as he finished speaking, Dugu Ijian was the first to choose a tunnel and rushed in. His golden sword domain was also released. In an instant, endless shattering sounds could be heard. Lin Fei followed closely behind and chose the tunnel closest to the side. He didn't care what the rest would choose. "You'll regret it if you leave so quickly." The Elysian son of heaven laughed out loud and took out a treasure. It was a rainbow-colored pearl that was dazzling and gave off a mysterious aura. "Brother Elysian, good move. You actually got such a good thing." Ife laughed. "The rainbow pearl of fortune can turn misfortune into fortune. It's a rare treasure in our saint spirit domain." Huang Lang revealed a look of joy and admired Elysian's son's move. "I've paid a great price for this." Although Elysian's son felt a little heartache, he was still rather happy. "With the rainbow pearl of fortune, we can avoid some dangers and reach the Shadow Throne. That's our chance. All right, let the rainbow pearl choose for us now." As Elysian's son used a technique to activate the rainbow pearl of fortune, it turned into a rainbow and flew across the sky, sandwiching the 5th tunnel in the middle. "It's him." Su Hung and the 2 supremacies also felt the pressure. "We really have to pay a price this time." Even the rainbow pearl of fortune was taken out. Turning misfortune into fortune was a simple phrase, but it had a great significance. Along the way, they didn't know how much trouble they could avoid. For example, the first floor's shadow corridor was probably the fastest for them to pass through. "Let's take this tunnel." Su Hung calmed his heart and used a special technique to calculate. Finally, he chose the 6th tunnel. Chapter 29:16. This is the Shadow Corridor. However, the name doesn't look like it. It's just a shadow corridor. Who would come up with such a stupid name? Lin Fei chose a corridor and rushed in. It was completely different from the shadow corridor he had imagined. This was clearly a corridor that was dug out. The walls were full of potholes, and there were traces left behind everywhere. Hua hua hua! Not long after stepping into the shadow corridor, Lin Fei immediately felt a gravitational force descending from the sky. It was as heavy as 1,000 caddies pressing down on him, causing his body to make cracking sounds. Lin Fei's body was bent down from the pressure. The gravitational force came too suddenly. Ao Tian, open for me! A Jingguang erupted from Lin Fei's body and went against the gravitational force. Lin Fei slowly straightened his body and revealed a solemn expression. It's really as the information says. The shadow corridor on this floor of the Shadow Throne is filled with danger. This passage of mine is a gravitational field. Those with weaker physical bodies would be crushed to the ground on the spot. I wonder what they've encountered. Lin Fei adapted to the gravitational force and found that he was greatly restricted. His movement speed was very slow. In addition, his divine sense was also restricted. He could only see a distance of 10 meters in front of him. What a scam! No wonder the High Lords who came before all turned pale at the mention of the Shadow Throne. Lin Fei turned on the system and let it check ahead. Fortunately, what he was worried about didn't happen. The system could scan the situation ahead. Let me see what dangers there are in the shadow corridor. As Lin Fei spoke, he had only taken a few steps when 2 beams of light flashed and slid towards his chest. With 2 clanging sounds, Lin Fei was forced to take a few steps back. The lights appeared again. This time it wasn't 2 but 5. When did they sneak over? Lin Fei waved his hand and took out the sky splitter hammer, smashing it towards the light. However, his hands were a beat too slow, and his body suffered another 3 attacks, causing him to feel a burning pain. I actually lost to a monster in the darkness in terms of speed for the first time. Lin Fei was speechless. Under the restrictions of the gravitational field, his speed was much slower. Compared to the monsters in the dark, there was a certain gap, so it was not surprising that he was hit. It's a good thing I have the body of Proud Heaven, Celestial Stage 8. If it were those Emperor Will supremacies, it wouldn't be so comfortable. With a thought from Lin Fei, the 5 beams of light turned into 10 beams of light. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. I let you guys hit me for a bit, and you got cocky. Now watch me. Using the sky splitter hammer as his hand, Lin Fei swung it heavily, executing the first move, spatial oscillation. Bang, bang, bang. The shock waves spread out. A dull sound rang out, and 5 humanoid monsters appeared in the dark corridor. The most eye-catching thing was that their hands were like blades gleaming with a cold light. After their bodies swayed slightly, they pounced forward again. These should be shadow swordsmen, a very powerful species. Their movement speed is extremely fast, and with the gravitational field suppressing me, it's no wonder I can't hit them. Lin Fei recognized them as the most common shadow swordsmen on the first floor, a terrifying existence. Spatial oscillation. The shadow swordsmen were directly sent flying. The power of the sky splitter hammer in Lin Fei's hand exploded, smashing on the shadow swordsmen one by one, causing them to spit out green blood. What a strong defense. They actually didn't die after taking the attack. No wonder they said to form a team. It's not easy to fight alone. Their strength is already at the peak of the 2nd stage. This was the strongest opponent Lin Fei had encountered so far. Soon his face was full of smiles. I was worried that the monsters in the Shadow Throne wouldn't be enough, but now it seems like I was worrying too much. The stronger the shadow swordsmen, the more vigorous the life force in their body. Killing one and plundering it is much better than killing the supremacies outside. Ha ha ha, shadow swordsman, here I come. Lin Fei released the seal on the sky splitter hammer. With a thought, the sky splitter hammer turned into the sky splitter rod, turning into countless shadows, smashing on the shadow swordsman. The first strike, the shadow swordsmen were covered in cracks. The second strike, the shadow swordsmen were smashed into pieces. Hua hua hua! A large amount of life force surged into Lin Fei's body, and he instantly felt like he had eaten honey, feeling refreshed from the bottom of his heart. Awesome, awesome, awesome! Lin Fei raised his voice. Under the attack of the Sky Splitter Rod, the shadow swordsmen that were terrifying in the eyes of the supremacies were killed in 2 strikes. With the death of 5 shadow swordsmen, a large amount of life force dissipated, and Lin Fei's eyes lit up. Shadow swordsman, here I come! After releasing the seal, even though Lin Fei's speed was restricted, his power was great. That bit of restriction was broken in front of the Sky Splitter Rod. This shadow corridor was very long. There were many shadow swordsmen in hiding, and after suffering at the start, Lin Fei knew how to deal with them. Under the immense power of the Sky Splitter Rod, the shadow swordsmen charging forward were just sending themselves to death. 1 shadow swordsman, 2 shadow swordsmen, 10 shadow swordsmen, 20 shadow swordsmen. Lin Fei dragged his heavy body, and the Sky Splitter Rod became a terrifying divine weapon. Every time it was swung out, it would hit the shadow swordsman, and its power was displayed to the extreme in this small corridor. Ao Tian Tian's middle stage, 8th stage physique also started to slowly increase. This seems to be shadow grass. After killing 30 shadow swordsmen, Lin Fei found a type of black grass on a rock wall. After carefully inspecting it, a name immediately popped up in his mind. This is good stuff. Dark shadow grass was a plant that only grew in the dark shadow throne. This shadow grass contained a trace of Shadow Emperor intent. It was rumored that by continuously absorbing and refining it, one could grasp the powerful shadow stealth. It had the power of Saint Spirit level 9, and even supremacies would find it hard to detect. The Shadow Palace bought it at a high price. This time we'll really have a great harvest in the Shadow Throne. Lin Fei did not stand on ceremony and plucked them all, continuing forward. In another corridor, the 5 Elysian children seemed to be more relaxed. Along the way, they did not encounter much danger, and with the cooperation of the 5 supremacies, they had a great harvest. Brother Sheng, our luck is pretty good. We've already harvested 3 stalks of shadow grass. Supremacy, Yi Fei said happily. Fortunately, we have the rainbow pearl. Otherwise, we wouldn't have it so easy. This is just the beginning this time. This time, we're going to have a great harvest. Supremacy Huang Lang said with a smile. The Elysian children were also very excited. The rainbow pearl was indeed miraculous, and his efforts to obtain it were not in vain. I'm thinking that Lin Fei is probably suffering now. He might even be teleported out. What a pity. It was such a good opportunity. The Elysian children's words sounded very proud. He's probably regretting it now. In the future, if he wants to enter the Shadow Throne, he can forget about it if he doesn't accumulate enough contribution points. Ha ha ha. Chapter 29:17. Shadow Corridor. In one of the dark passages. Bang, bang, bang. Countless black shadows flashed by and constantly whipped the shadow swordsmen, causing the shadow swordsmen to be unable to rush up and could only linger outside until they were killed. Awesome. The person who attacked was very fast. The black rod in his hand was constantly dancing, and a black shadow appeared and whipped the shadow swordsman. In the shadow corridor, one could hear cracking sounds. That was the sound of the body breaking. Another 3 shadow grass in hand. Lin Fei quickly picked up the shadow grass and continued to move forward. This was his 3rd month in the shadow corridor. There were too many shadow swordsmen. In these 3 months, Lin Fei almost never stopped, fighting with the shadow swordsmen all the time. The Sky Splitter Rod in his hand was very smooth. Killing the shadow swordsman became easier. The biggest gain was his proud Heaven 8th layer, unknowingly from the middle stage to the peak of the middle stage, about to break through to the late stage. It was definitely a huge improvement. Under the proud Heaven body, Lin Fei's physical body was even stronger. Several times he was attacked by the shadow swordsman, It only left a very shallow wound on his body. Looking at the time, it should be almost the end. Although he was alone, but along the way his movement was still very fast, he believed that he was not slower than those people. It seemed that his guess was right. Following this, the number of shadow swordsmen began to decrease. It was easier to deal with. Master, it seems to be the end in front. However, you have to be careful. There is a powerful shadow swordsman hidden on your left side. It seems like it is a small team leader. One of them is equivalent to a dozen shadow swordsmen. After the divine sense was restricted, Lin Fei kept the system open. After recording the aura, the shadow swordsman had no place to hide. It was exposed. Got it. Just as they were about to get close, Lin Fei made the first move. He swung his sky splitter staff, smashing it against the stone wall. The dark shadow blade hand that was hiding there rushed out, and several beams of cold light appeared. Lin Fei also saw, clearly, the shadow swordsman that attacked him was twice as big as the previous ones. It was like a small mountain and was very strong. The sky splitter staff swept horizontally and shattered the cold light. He then used the move, Spacequake. The dark shadow blade hand swayed, slightly before continuing to attack. A cold light appeared. It was created by the other party's extremely fast speed, and it was quite terrifying. A peak supremacy expert. Lin Fei's fleshly body had been strengthened. Even though the opponent's attacks were sharp with the heaven-splitting rod in his hand, he wasn't worried that the opponent could beat him. The heaven-splitting rod was like a poisonous snake, constantly striking the weak spots of the umber blade hand. Under the suppression of the gravitational field, Lin Fei's physical body improved a little. He was able to break through the suppression of the gravitational field. Every time he hit the shadow swordsman's weak point, once, twice, thrice, the shadow swordsman howled, but it couldn't touch Lin Fei at all. After another heavy strike, the shadowy bladesman was sent flying. In midair, its powerful body shattered into pieces, and a thick life force surged into Lin Fei's body. Lin Fei felt a wave of comfort wash over him. Something seems to have fallen. Lin Fei grabbed the air, and a shiny object appeared in his hand. This was something like a crystal, but the biggest difference was that the crystal contained a wave of energy, a very pure energy. Master, this is good stuff. It should be life energy inside. I didn't expect the Saint Spirit world to have such a special life form race. Your hierarch, Umbra, is very powerful. The little fiend said in surprise. No wonder I felt a familiar aura from the crystal. Lin Fei suddenly realized that he couldn't react in time. In the next second, he grabbed the life crystal and tried to absorb the life energy. Under the forceful plundering, the life energy in the life crystal flowed into Lin Fei's body like water. The majestic life energy was very pure, dozens of times purer than the plundering. Hua hua hua! This life energy kept circulating in Lin Fei's body. His physical body was slightly improved again. Proud Heaven Level 8 Late Stage. From Proud Heaven Level 8 Late Stage to Late Stage, it really didn't take long. Lin Fei could feel that Proud Heaven Level 8 Late Stage had a huge change in his physical body. It lasted for a long time. Kacha-kacha sounds came from Lin Fei's body. His eyes burst with light, and his eyes became deep like a bottomless pit. Proud Heaven Level 8 Late Stage. With my current physical defense, even a peak supremacy can't easily hurt me. Only those great supremacies can pose a threat to me. The heaven-defying 12 layers tyrant body was a brand new top-notch body cultivation technique derived from countless cultivation techniques. Every small realm increase would increase one strength. Proud Heaven Level 8 Late Stage. Although not yet at the peak, Lin Fei's strength had increased by a lot. If there are a few of these life crystals, I will quickly break through to the peak of the 8th level of Proud Heaven Realm. I just don't know in the other passageways whether or not there is this kind of shadow swordsman overseeing. If there is, He killed the last shadow swordsman. Lin Fei looked around and found the dark shadow grass. There were 13 of them, and they were all in one place. Lin Fei didn't hesitate to take them. At the end of the shadow corridor, Lin Fei walked out. He thought he would go to the next floor. But just as he came out, a terrifying and dangerous aura instantly fell on his body. The sky splitter rod also quickly appeared in his hand. At the end of the shadow corridor, it was not the next floor, but a place similar to a cave. The area was not very big, and it was about the size of a palace. But in such a place, not far from Lin Fei, there was a black circular altar, surrounded by 9 pillars. In the center of the altar stood a burly being. He was clad in black armor and held a large black shield in each hand. He was taller than a person, and his other hand was holding a black axe. At this moment, his cold eyes were looking over. "Intruder, die!" Boom, boom, boom. The void exploded, and a terrifying attack came. Lin Fei instantly felt cold all over, and the sky splitter rod in his hand slashed, splitting the void in two. Bang, bang, bang. The huge impact instantly hit Lin Fei's body, and his body also slightly swayed. Crash! The black axe cut across the sky, and the huge body came in front of Lin Fei, attacking with a big move. Damn, this has the battle power of a great supremacy.